press record. So what we're talking about tonight is diversification. And for those of you that are on Instagram, welcome. And it's interesting because wherever you look in the world, people want diversification. It doesn't matter what country you're in. If you understand investing and if you understand what the wealthiest are doing, at the end of the day, diversification comes into it. And so tonight, we're going to be looking at diversification. We're going to be looking at the principles of diversification. And most importantly, we are going to be looking at the future of investing. What do the top 1% do? And most importantly for you, how you can do it. Because I believe very strongly in life. There's no point in learning something if you're not actually going to do it. So I'm not here to teach you tonight. I'm here to share with you what the wealthiest of people are doing. And then you have the ability to literally go out there and copy them. Now, our purpose is to help you invest like the top 1%. So this is not about me, this is about you. And it's about helping you invest like the top 1%. I've got a couple of questions to get started. So the first question that I'd like to talk about is, what would it mean to you in 12 months or less to be earning at least 6K in passive income without any hassle or complexity? So do me a favor, write it on a chat, write it on a piece of paper, type in the chat box if you want to make it public. And what would it mean to you? I mean, think about it like really seriously. What would it mean to you in 12 months or less to be earning 6K passive income without any hassle or complexity? Anisha said means a lot. And Kelly, if you wouldn't mind, let's put $10 into Anisha's bank account. We'll put it into her Lemonway wallet because she has participated, and I'd love people to participate. It's always a bit of fun and engagement, etc. So well done to Anisha. You've already earned some passive income, and you're on your way to your 6K. So well done. We've got financial freedom, sleep peacefully, significantly stress, reduce. Wow. Great, thank you. So, I really want you to think about what this would mean. And the second question I would have is, how would you like a system which can statistically help you get there 5 times faster, simpler, and safer? Now, for those of you in the room that think this is a get-rich-quick scheme, you're in the wrong place. So let's just be very clear on that right up front. In my opinion, there's no such thing as a get-rich-quick scheme. I've been investing now for 28 years and having helped some of the wealthiest people from around the world. As fast as you can make money, if it's a risky thing, you can also lose money. This is not that. This is looking at what the wealthiest people are doing around the world. And literally there are formulas and systems that you can copy. And if you copy them, then you're going to get the same results. An example of that is Jordan. Now, Jordan came to us. He was a high net worth 55-year-old. He'd worked hard all his life, and he wanted to build a portfolio to ensure that his wealth was protected. And when he came to us, this is what he was looking for. Diversified passive income of $5,000, then $10,000, then $25,000, simply and safely. He wanted to diversify his investments across countries, currencies, and assets. He wanted to use his limited time to get effective results with predictability. He wanted to save decades of frustration and millions of dollars to get the right knowledge for him and his family. He wanted wealth protection, a plan B, and peace of mind. You want to be held accountable and have an accountability partner to get results. I mean, how many of you, when you're successful, want an accountability partner? You know that it's important to be able to get results. You wanted a family office to help him manage all his financial affairs. If you don't know what a family office is, tonight I'm going to share with you what a family office is and how it helps some of the wealthiest people from around the world with regards to their financial affairs. He wanted generational wealth. Not just wealth for himself, but for his children and for his family and for his legacy. And he wanted a fully completed execution wealth plan and investor strategy sheet. He wanted a plan. And lastly, he wanted results. Now, do me a favor. If you resonate with Jordan, if you've got the same needs, wants, and desires as Jordan, then just type in the chat box there, Jordan. Because for me, Jordan came to us and we helped Jordan achieve these results. And so if you want what Jordan wanted and needed, if you've got the same needs and wants, then you're in the right place. Another one is Victoria. She was an entrepreneur in her 50s, devoted to her family and business and aiming to build generational wealth. Despite her packed schedule, she sought a streamlined investment strategy that empowered her to make wise decisions, aligned with her goals, and freed up her time for her grandchildren and children. She wanted to understand the investment landscape and feel empowered. She was tired of not trusting the financial industry, and she wanted to be able to feel empowered and make the right decisions for her and her family. And she wanted financial freedom so that she could enjoy the cherished moments with her loved ones. Now, again, who here resonates with Victoria and Victoria's needs and wants? And again, just type in the Jeff Victoria if you resonate with it. Or maybe you resonate with both. I mean, I know I resonate with both. And so you can just type in both. Because if you resonate with either Jordan or Victoria or both, then you're in the right place. Because that is what we are going to talk tonight. Their needs and wants were what they came to us with and what we helped them solve. How are we going to do it? Well, we're going to help people live a life unlimited, and we're going to do it through Diversification 5.0. And I'm going to explain to you tonight what Diversification 5.0 is all about. Now, the question I have for you, and you might have noticed a bit of a trend here, I'm going to be engaging and interacting with you as much as I possibly can. Why did you show up today? What is your big goal? What has been holding you back? What have you wanted to achieve for so long and yet haven't been able to achieve it? Maybe you've got all your eggs tied up in one basket, all your money's in one country or one currency, and you've been wanting to invest internationally. You've been wanting to diversify, no matter where you are in the world, and it's been you haven't been able to do it. I can see here we've got passive income, financial freedom, multiple currencies and partners. Everyone has their own needs and wants. And so I always ask people, why did you show up? What is your big goal? And the big thing that I find for most people, and tonight, again, I'm going to share a lot with you. I'm going to go fast. But for those that want to take action, and if they want to talk to someone, one of our team will sit with you. One of our wealth coaches will literally sit with you, and they will have a conversation where you can literally go to this link, diversifiedpassiveincome.com/call, and you can sit with one of our team members. It's a short call. You can book it out. They can understand what you're trying to achieve, and they can see if we can help you. So if at any point today you feel overwhelmed, you don't know what to do, but you're excited and you want to do it, then book a call with one of our team members and they'll help you. So I want to start with a story. There's a story of two brothers. Now, the first brother was born in Zimbabwe, and it was 1976. He was married, and he decided it was time to leave Zimbabwe. And so he got in a car, he put all his belongings in a car, and he left Zimbabwe and he drove to South Africa. There was no way to take any money out of the country. And so when he arrived in South Africa, he had nothing but what he could fit in the car. And he lived a life which was very reactive. He was reactive to politics. He was reactive to the government. He was reactive to economies and currencies. And his life was an extremely reactive life. The second brother, well, he lived in Zimbabwe and he stayed. And in 1980, he decided to start investing overseas and to start investing in first world assets. And in 2003, 23 years later, he decided it was time to move to Australia. He bought his way into Australia. People say you can't do that. He did it at over the age of 50. And this was him with a passport. He bought a house in Brisbane for cash. He sent his kid to Churchie, one of the best schools in Australia. And his kid went on to be offered places at some of the best universities around the world. And he never had to work for an Australian. And he lived a very proactive life, one full of choices, where he had the freedom to make the choices that he wants. And so the question I have for you is, which brother do you want to be? Do you want to be the brother that is very reactive, where you're consistently reacting to what's happening in the world and what the government's doing and what's happening to economies? Or do you want to be proactive? Do you want to take control of your life? Which one do you want to be? And I can see some people are saying proactive. What's interesting is that if you're not proactive, this is not, again, a get rich quick. That my uncle did it, and 23 years later, he invested overseas and started investing in first world assets that earned him a first world income. And 23 years later, it gave him the freedom to make the choices that he wanted. The alternative was my father. And this was me and my dad on my very first construction site. I was 13 years old. And my dad was the reactive brother. So this story is very, very close to my heart. And I decided at a very young age that I was going to do it differently. Some of you have heard my story. And just by the way, who hasn't met me before or know who I am or know my story? Just type it in the chat box, please. I'd love to know how many people are here and don't know about it. And while I'm doing this, I'll give you a quick rundown of my story. So my dad did what we were all taught to do. He went to school, he went to university, he worked hard, he got a great job, and he became financial director of a listed company. He trusted the financial industry, he invested, he paid his taxes. And what was so interesting, because we all did that. I mean, I was taught to do that, work hard, get a great job, get a great degree, go and work, and one day you'll retire happily. Well, it was different for my dad, because at the age of 59, he died broke. And I found it fascinating, because the very thing that he was told that would happen, it was the complete opposite. And so I decided to go out and to do some research. And the gentleman I found was a guy called Dr. Hanestraya. And Dr. Hanestraya literally said, in England, Australia, and America, 94% of people are going to be dead, broke, or reliant on the government. They're going to be the same as my dad. And I was like, wow, that's not very good. 5% of people are going to be financially independent. And what's interesting is so many of you in this room, if I said to you, do you want to be financially independent? People are like, me, I want to be financially independent. Well, actually, according to the financial industry, if you earn 25% less than your last paycheck, then you are financially independent. Now, I don't know about you, but I just call that financially trapped. And that's what so many people in their old age today, our parents, are like. They are financially trapped. And so 99% of people are failing, and only 1% of people are retiring wealthy at the age of 65. I mean, think about it. 100 people start a race, and literally one person finishes the race. And so I decided at a young age, nope, that's not a story that I'm doing. Just by the way, type in the chat box for me. How many of you are the same as me, are literally like we're told, go to school, work hard, get a degree, get a great job, invest, retire happily when you're 65. How many of you have heard that story? Because we've all been taught that story. And unfortunately, it doesn't work. And the stats are against us. And so I went out and I decided to do it a different way. And the first person that I went out and I read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So this is from Robert Kiyosaki. Many of you would have heard it before. And, he talks about the employee, the self-employed, the business, and the investor. And what's so interesting is that if we go into this in a little more detail, the employee is all about active income. It's about hard work, no security, no time. It's about being on the proverbial hamster wheel. Then you got, the self-employed, which is large debts, insufficient funds, and stress. And, you can see here, 95% of people on the planet are in this place, and they've only got 5% of the wealth. This is the doctors, the lawyers, the accountants who work hard for their money. On the right-hand side, you've got the business owners. You've got businesses. It's about passive income. It's about, I'm not sure about the easy work, but stability and spare time. And then you've got the investor. And this is where it's no debts, plenty of money, freedom. And it's where your money works for you. And it's 5% of people on the planet or less, and it's 95% of the wealth. And the question I have for all of you is, how do you get there? Now, what's so interesting, Ideally said, I know the book and I'll see Kiyosaki soon in Johannesburg. Correct. Robert Kiyosaki and I are actually presenting at an event on Saturday in Johannesburg. So Ideally, I'll see you there too. Come and say hello. And it's a privilege for me. I read that book over 2 decades ago, and I'll be presenting on live with him in Johannesburg. But why this is important is because the question I have for all of you is how? How do you get there to be an investor in terms of that process? And what I want to share with you and what we're going to go through tonight is that I believe one of the simplest ways to be successful is to copy successful people. I learned that from Tony Robbins many, many years ago. And it's the same for investing. If you want to be successful with investing, copy successful investors. And so here are 5 important lessons that I've learned from the wealthiest investors around the world. Now, again, I've helped people in 178 countries. I've been doing this 28 years. We've facilitated $1.3 billion in investments. And so when you do all of that, you spot a lot of trends. So the first one is the trends. Follow the smart money. The second one is risk. Understand true diversification and the importance of income. The third is diversification, the single most important component to financial success. The fourth is tax and structuring. Protect and optimize your wealth. And the fifth is team, partnering for results. Now, my strong recommendation, when you see one of these little camera things, take out your phone and take a picture, because what I'm giving you here is priceless. And the essence of tonight's presentation, this masterclass, is to go deep into each one of these 5 important lessons. So who's keen? Who's ready? Because we call it Diversification 5.0. But before I get into it, I want to share with you where it all started. You know, this was my first property project when I was 13 years old. I told you that I was going to do it differently. This was my first development when I was 22 years old. I took a house and developed it into 6 townhouses. This was my first London property. And by the way, that's a whole nother story, but I actually just decided to sell that property today. I then started a company and sold thousands of properties in South Africa. I helped hundreds of people invest in property in London. I helped hundreds of people invest in Australia, and I helped hundreds of people invest in America. But they were all investing in houses. I found that all the people were stuck, most of them were stuck in country. They didn't have the money to invest in commercial or international property. And even if they did, the complexity of tax and structuring was really, really difficult. And what I found was that 99% of people could not invest like the top 1%. I had 2 experiences that happened in 2008, 2009. In the end of 2008, we had the global financial crisis, and there was an opportunity to buy this building. Now, not buy one apartment like a mom and pop investor, buy the whole building like an institution. And the problem was I needed 10 million pounds. So I ran around to all my investors. I had 2,500 investors, ran around to all of them. I said, I don't care what happens with market values in the short term. This represents a real opportunity. We were buying at a 40% discount. It had an 8% cash flow positive yield. It was a no-brainer. And I couldn't get people to work together. We failed and we lost the opportunity. By the way, we could have bought those for 160,000 pounds. Today they are worth over 750,000 pounds. Then we went to Australia in 2009, and I met 2 very wealthy gentlemen. And I said, what are you investing in? And they said, medical buildings. I said, oh, really? Why medical? No one's ever taught me to invest in medical. And they said, well, think about it. No matter what happens in the world, people need doctors. I was like, yep, that makes sense. Secondly, doctors never leave their premises. I was like, actually, that's right. And thirdly, doctors make very good doctors, but they're not great accountants. So they sign good long-term favorable leases. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. And so I was like, cool, how do I participate? They said, well, we're raising $40 million. There's 8 chunks of $5 million each. So again, I ran around to all my investors, and again, we failed. But this created enough pain for me because I was like, right, this is what the wealthy are doing. I mean, how many of you have been in pain before where you just realize, right, I have to solve this problem? And so I decided to go out and do what I've always done. When I need to learn something, I pay people. I paid one of my mentors, Dr. Dolph DeRus. He wrote this book, Real Estate Riches, which was my first property book. And I paid him $8,000. So this was me in 2011, and I was in America. I wanted to learn how to buy properties in America. And I basically tried to do it all on my own. So I was trying to buy houses on my own. But when I want to learn something, I pay people, because what I've learned is that when you pay, I pay attention. And when I invest in myself, I accelerate my growth. Now, just in my interest, how many of you actually invest in yourself to accelerate achieving what you want to achieve? I mean, just in my interest, is anyone else like me? So I do a lot of this. When I want to learn something, I invest in myself, and then that gets me ahead. So again, I don't go and try and learn from someone just down the road. I go to the best. Like I flew to America, I spent $8,000 for a week, and I went to learn from the best in America on how I could invest in American property. but I was still trying to do it by myself in terms of actually investing by myself. And then in 2010, actually, I was in Fiji. I spent $50,000 to spend a week with Tony Robbins. And I wanted to learn about business, and I wanted to learn the principles of business. And what was so interesting, I spent $50,000 to be with Tony Robbins. And through that opportunity, I got the rights to partner with Tony Robbins. Now, there's not many people in the world that can say they've partnered with Tony Robbins. And Tony and I and a guy called Chet Holmes built a business, and I got the rights to run that business in Africa. And what I learned was that the fastest way to success is not to copy successful people, but actually to partner with them. And that's how I broke through this nemesis of commercial property. Because in 2014, we did our first commercial property. It was $16 million portfolio, 6 different buildings in Atlanta, in America. And what was so interesting, it came from 82 investors. We bought the building, we held it for 5 years. It had an 8% cash on cash return. So that's an 8% income return per year and a total return of 15% per year. And my question for all of you, who would like these type of returns? Because we did this through partnering, and we did this through investing and partnering with wealthy and successful investors. Well, we went on to do that in America, in England, in Europe, in Australia, in South Africa. We've helped people now in 178 countries. We facilitated $1.3 billion in investments. We paid out over $31 million in dividends or distributions. And what's so important, and for me personally, is the thousands of people and faces from around the world that we have helped diversify, that we have helped grow and build a passive income. And one day, how many of you would like to have your faces up here in terms of this process? For the ladies out there, I think there's a massive movement around the world in terms of women and wealth, and people actually truly women wanting to be empowered. I mean, how many of the women out there, and to be honest, Frank, the men as well, that want to see women empowered and to take control of their financial futures? But all of these investors, from these thousands and thousands of investors from 178 countries, when I ask people, why do investors invest and diversify? The first thing is they want preservation of wealth. You've worked hard for your money and you want to protect it. The second is they want a plan B. They don't want all their eggs in the proverbial basket. The third is they want peace of mind. And the fourth is that they want freedom. They want to have the freedom to choose where they live, where they send their children to school, what they invest in, where their kids go to university, where they go on holiday, etc., etc., etc. And the other thing that's important is that we currently live in crazy times. In the last 2 years, we've had the Ukraine war, we've had inflation, we've had interest rates going through the roof, we've had fuel prices going through the roof, the stock market all over the place, load shedding, the Israeli conflict, Trump attempted assassination, Labour winning by record margins in London or in England, the GNU in South Africa, Biden quitting the race, Trump's landslide victory. More importantly, since then, his inauguration and all the tariffs and everything else that he's been doing. And if you're from South Africa, all the challenges around the new land policy and Trump and everything else that's been in place. It has been a crazy and uncertain time. And in those crazy and uncertain times, again, what do? Anyone want to give me, I'm going to stop sharing here quickly and take a drink of water to give you some time to think. What do you do in crazy times when it comes to investing? We're talking about investing. What do you do? Because I'm sure you're feeling at the moment a little bit of anxiety. Warren Buffett says, be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. And by and large, are people fearful at the moment? Of course they are. There is so much uncertainty out there. And the question is, what do you do? The next question I'd have for you is this the first time that there's been economic uncertainty? Is this the first time that there's been challenges for investors? Is this the first time that economies have gone up and down? Nope, it's not. And so one of the things you can do always is that when you've got a challenge, go back and look at history. And so what I would recommend you do, and what I certainly do, is go and look at what wealthy people have done in all the other periods of uncertainty and figure out what they did and then copy them. Because chances are that they're doing it right now. So copy what the wealthy people are doing. We call them the top 1%. And secondly, look back in the past and figure out what they did, because history repeats itself. The fundamentals of investing do not change. Patterns exist, and you might as well copy them. And we call that Diversification 5.0. And tonight is all about Diversification 5.0. It's about building a globally diversified passive income. It's a diversifying across countries, currencies, assets, partners, and time. And again, if I was you, I'd take out your camera and I'd take a picture, because this is the framework. This is what the wealthiest people in the world are doing, some of the most successful investors, and this is what they are recommending that you do. But the funny thing for me is I've been doing this for over 21 years, and so many people will listen and people will not take action. The majority of you right now, I'm telling you from experience and statistics, will not take action, because I have spoken to tens of thousands of people around the world, probably in the hundreds of thousands. You can see me here, pictures and pictures on small stages, on massive stages, at game reserves, being invited to speak on panels, talking to high net worths, doing webinars, etc., etc. This is me with Clem Santa. And what's so interesting is that the statistics are out there. If you look at Harvard, if I teach you stuff tonight, after 3 months, you're going to recall 10% of what I've taught you. Literally 10%. It's nothing. But for those that take action, for those that actually learn while doing, for those that get involved, you're going to retain 95%. Now, I want to give you an example, and I'm going to stop sharing quickly. There's 3 types of people in the world. Which one are you? So 3 types of people. The one is the one we all taught to do at school, by the way. I'm going to go and do it all myself. I'm going to learn. I'm going to go read books. I'm going to stress. I'm going to learn more stuff. I'm going to do courses. I'm going to go and get a degree. I'm going to learn. They try to do everything on their own. The second, they want to go find a community. They want to, do stuff together. They want to learn with others, and do it in a community. And the third is they want it done for them. They want someone to actually hold their hand. They go and find someone who's been successful in the world at what they want to learn. They, they hold their hand, they partner with them, and they walk. And, it's the whole done with you, done for you. So which one are you? Are you the first person that does it all on their own? Are you the second person that likes to join a community? And or are you the third person that likes it done for you and actually partner with the right people? So I can see Reg being honest and saying number 1, sadly. Bhagwandas is number 3. Andra is the first one. And don't get me wrong, there's no judgment. I was the first one. For 14 years, this is how I invested. Reading all the books. I mean, look at it. It's embarrassing. I've got literally hundreds, if not thousands of books in my bookstore, trying to read it all. I've done all the courses, done all the degrees. There's not many people that have done as many property degrees as me. I've got an honors degree from South Africa, cum laude, a master's degree from London, cum laude. I've got CRS, which is the top one out of America. I've got AIPP, which is the top one out of the UK. I've got PDP, which is the top one out of South Africa. I can keep going. And the point being is, for 14 years, I tried to do it all myself. But it was when I started to partner with the wealthy, partner with the people that were already successful and wealthy, that the game changed. And my strong recommendation for you tonight is make the mindset shift to be number 3, to be with and partner with the top 1%, because that is the game changer. And the reason being, it's not my opinion, it's Harvard. If you try to do it all on your own, 3 months from now, 10% you're going to retain. But if you partner with someone and you actually start doing it, you're going to be 95% plus. And for you left brainers out here, if you want to actually understand the maths of the pain, then that's really, really important. So I'm going to show you, if you have just $12,000 to invest, just $12,000 to invest, And over a 10-year period, if you have the right information and the right partners compared to doing it yourself and doing it the wrong way, then it's going to mean $48,000 to you. So are you prepared to pay attention for $48,000? Yes or no? So I want to recap just quickly. So there's another presentation I do, which is a more fundamentals. I explain some of the fundamentals of investing. I call it, how do you get paid while you sleep? When I go through this, I talk about trap one, relying on a single source of income. The wealthy build multiple income streams that work together. Trap number two, investing without a strategy. Many people invest blindly, hoping for returns. Smart investors follow a proven system. Trap number three, thinking you need a lot of money to start. Truth is, you can start earning passive income with as little as $10. And trap number four, buying houses will fund your retirement. Truth, your home doesn't generate a passive income. It costs you money. Any additional rental properties? Well, I mean, if you've owned houses and you've got rental properties, you know what a hassle they are, and they are far from passive. So those are the four traps. And again, if I was you, I'd take a picture, because these are some fundamental building blocks that I'm sharing with you. And there are four elements to passive income and freedom. The first is that you need the right partners. The second is that you need access to the right information. The third, you need access to the right deals. The third is that you need the right information. And the fourth is you need diversification. We call this the paid framework, and this is how you get paid a diversified passive income of 6K or more. So if you want 6K or more as soon as possible, this is the paid framework. And I would recommend again that you take a picture of this. Now, is it starting to make sense? Are you starting to understand how this all fits together? So for those of you that would like to get paid a diversified passive income of 6K or more as soon as possible, we have built what we call the Diversification Mastermind for those people that want to be the third person, the person that works together and partners with the wealthiest people in the world, invests with them, and ultimately they have it done for you, with you, to be able to get results. It's our private banking. We call it Private Wealth Global. It's about getting results safely and simply. And it's an enhanced partnership between the family office and Wealth Migrate. Now, it's really, really important, because this is your ticket if you want to partner with the wealthy. And statistically, and I'm going to show it to you later, there's 5 times faster, simpler, and safer. So I just want to check here quickly. Can I just make sure that the participants all have their microphones off? So let me just mute this person here. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, I'll just remove. Cool. Okay. So, and the reason being is that it's very, very important. So I don't know how many of you would like to go 5 times faster, simpler, and safer. And if you would, then just type it in the chat box. I've got a little video that I want to share with you. And this was a video that one of my colleagues, Kelly, kindly made for us, where she interviewed a bunch of our master members on their experience of going 5 times faster, safer, and simpler.
You have been on many of these courses. They take your money, 900 rands, 90. Go onto these websites and learn. And here I found a better one out.
Being involved in the mastermind and the small achievements that I managed to achieve in this process, that it's really just been very easy to get through this incredibly difficult thing.
What this mastermind has done for me is to get off the fence and do it. How many coaches you can have, and it actually confuses you completely, because one says this and the other one says that.
I think the real spark for me was the Wealth Weekend. It was just so magical in so many ways, but ultimately the combination of having everybody in the room.
I mean, that's just some real people. I'm going to share a whole bunch with you in terms of real people and real stories. So, I mean, if you really want, sorry, Kelly, quick one. How do I know which one's which? They both say Kelly Watson. Is it the one with the picture or the one with the yellow?
Okay, the picture, hi, can you hear me? The picture's me. The other one with the yellow is not me.
Oh.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Got someone that's not a panelist in the panelist room, and I just want to remove them. Cool. So
You have been on many.
I got a question for you, and the first one is would you like to be part of the mastermind? And if you would, just type in their mastermind. But before we go there, I want to share a poll with you, and let's. I love interacting with people, so let's get this poll up. Because what do you want? I mean, you've come all the way here. What are you looking for? So I'm going to put this poll up, and you can kind of let us know in terms of what it is you're looking for. I'll leave the poll up while I keep going now in terms of getting into your 5 major lessons for tonight. And just by the way, are you enjoying this? Can you understand the difference between those that try and do it all on their own and those that join something like a mastermind where they can literally partner with some of the wealthiest people in the world, and then they can get the same results as those wealthy people in terms of that process? Okay, I'm not going to be giving you financial advice. I think that's very important. But what I'm going to be teaching you is my skills, my lessons, my mistakes that I've been doing, again, 28 years worth of experience. And I'm going to be teaching you that in terms of that process. So I remind you of the 5 important lessons. We're going to run through each one of these: trends, risk, diversification, tax and structuring, and team. And if you want to wait till the end, I'm going to share with you a little white paper. So, oops, that's the wrong one. Let me find the white paper that I want for you. And it's the Diversification 5 white paper. And what's interesting is that I've taken this entire presentation and I've condensed it down into 2 pages. So you can read it, you can look through it, and what's important. And if you want that white paper, I will share with you how you can get it at the end. Cool. So the first trend, follow the smart money. Now, the passive income trap here is that thinking short-term versus long-term. A lot of people think that a good investment is a couple of weeks or a couple of months or even a couple of years. But wealthy investors think in 5, 10, 10 years plus, 20, sometimes even 30 years. They think in long-term trends. And a good example of this is that when I wrote my book, Property Going Global, a guy called James Painter actually wrote chapter 2, which is all about trends and analysis. And he looks at currencies, commodities, markets, etc. One of the really scary things is that he presented to our mastermind earlier this year in January, and he predicted that the stock market could lose anywhere around 85% of its value based on long-term trends and what happened back in 1929. Someone else that I really, really recommend and follow a lot is a guy called Ray Dalio. Now, Ray Dalio, and I'll talk more about him later, but he manages $160 billion. And he went out and he studied history for the last 500 years. And while he was studying history, he looked at all the long-term trends. And what he found was that in the middle, you've got productivity. So you've effectively got productivity growing all the way up. You've got short-term debt cycles, which are kind of 5 to 8 years, which is why markets go up in kind of eight-year cycles. And then you've got long-term debt cycles, which are 75 to 100 years. And what's really fascinating is that this cycle that we're in now started in 1945. If you do the maths, how long is 1945 till to now? It's 80 years. And we are at the cusp of all of these cycles intersecting at the same time. Economic, political, short-term debt cycle, long-term debt cycle, productivity, the lot. And what this means when they all intersect is that there's a huge amount of challenges. This decade, the next 10, maybe 20 years, there's going to be a lot of disruption and a lot of change. And what people do when they look at it, and by the way, if you want to go and read all about this, you can go read his book, Ray Dalio. It's a massive book. It's about 20 hours long. Or who would like my summarized version? I've gone and studied Ray Dalio. One of the things I enjoy doing is studying. If you want Ray Dalio, just type in there Ray, and I will share with you a recording I did. It's a 90-minute presentation where I went and studied everything that I could find about Ray Dalio, and I summarized it down into what you need to know about Ray Dalio. And if you stay till the end, I'll share with you how I'll give that to you as a free gift, as a bonus, so that you can watch it. We call it a wealth hack in terms of that process. Now, what's so interesting is that the last time we had a major market sentiment shift was in 2008. We had the global financial crisis in 2008. And in London alone, what was interesting is that when a market changes, people panic. Prices go down and people get really scared and they tend to sell. But what you should be looking at is what are the long-term trends? And so, as an example with property in London, is that it lost 20% quite quickly because of what happened in 2008. But within 12 months, it had recovered. And from then on, it only ever grew. And a great example of this was a building where we invested in City Peninsula in London. So City Peninsula is in Greenwich. It's one stop from Canary Wharf, which is the new financial capital. And we helped 31 investors buy in that building. And we bought in September 2008. There's one gentleman, Don, bought 4 units for £313,000. He got a 26% discount because of what was happening in the market. And when the building finished in 2011, he had cash flow positive properties literally for 10 years. And after 10 years, he sold the property for £1 million. And the question I would have for you is, how many of you would like to buy something for £313,000 and sell it after it being cash flow positive for 10 years for £1 million? I know I would. Secondly, here's another example in a different country. Just before we go there, why did he get such growth? People are like, it sounds too good to be true. No, go look at the fundamentals. Night Dragon was investing 10.3 billion in the Greenwich Peninsula. Literally, this was an article that came out in 2021. The Greenwich Peninsula is having 17,500 new houses, 84,000 square meters of commercial, 20,000 of cultural. You can kind of see the growth. And this is what you want to look for. You want to invest with long-term trends, with the right information and the right partners. Another example, Ryan Boyder came to me. He said, Scott, I want to invest in Australia. And so we started helping him invest in houses, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom houses in Brisbane and Melbourne in 2009. And what was interesting in 2009 is that the Australian property market was the best performing property market in the G20, the top 20 economies in the world, in 2009, 2010, 2011. And what was also interesting is that Brisbane and Melbourne were the best 2 markets. And better still than that, it was single family homes that had the best growth. And he bought 5 of them. And 5 years later, he sold them. He's now living on the Gold Coast. He sold them and was able to buy his family home on the Gold Coast. So that was Australia. Another example is America. This gentleman, Michael Honeysett, in February of 2013, came on a buyer's trip with us. He wanted to invest in American houses, and he started investing, and he bought 4 properties. And what's so interesting is that his dream was for his children, his 2 daughters, to be able to study overseas and to be able to work overseas. And 10 years later, or what is it now, 12 years later, they were living in England, they were working in England, and it all started by him making the right decisions 12 years ago. And if you look at it, he said to us, when I joined, it was the best money I ever spent, and it would never have happened without, if he had tried to do it himself. So if you look at my book, I talk about it, because if you get it right once, maybe you're lucky. Twice, maybe, but 3 times, 3 countries. And if you look at it, this is when we started in Australia. This is when we started in England. We stopped around here. We started again there. And we got it literally right in America within 3 months. And what's so interesting when you look at the long-term results is that the stock market has got you about 8% on average over the last 25 years. And private equity's got you about 12%. And we, over the last 10 years, have managed to get a return of about 14%. Now, tonight, I can't do this all justice. Okay, we actually have a program that we put together where we went into more detail. We call it Wealth Going Global. And you can literally find out what are the top 5 countries to invest in, what are the top 5 currencies to invest in, what are the top 15 assets to invest in. How do you find the right partners around the world? And how do you build a plan over time? If you want to do it all on your own, like I just told you, we've got a home study course that I can literally give, you can get access to, and you can go and do all of it. So tonight, I'm sharing with you the important stuff above the iceberg, but I just want to let you know there's a lot of substance below the iceberg. A great example of this is the work. We watched that intro video right up front with Ray Dalio. I mean, Ray Dalio is one of the top scenario planners in the world. And I was very lucky to work with him. He's worked with the South African government to bring about democracy. He was chairman of Anglo Gold. He's worked with Harvard. He's worked with the Chinese government. And I've done a number of presentations with him. He actually wrote the foreword and wrote chapters 4 and 5 of my book, Property Going Global. I was super excited when he did that. And this is what he had to say about the difference between working on your own versus partnering with others.
You don't really get a real feel for the future by yourself. You have to actually discuss it with your friends. And the best thing you can do after my lecture is to actually get a group of your friends, sit around the table, and actually discuss the results of this lecture. And it should be a round table. Now, it's not just students who should be doing this, it's actually companies. Because often when I used to do facilitation workshops at companies on their future, they would be sitting at a long table with the CEO in a throne at one end. The CEO often just wouldn't want to hear inconvenient truths. And actually, you've got to blast through that barrier and actually have people around with equal status at the table. And they should be allowed to speak.
So, my question for you is, are you, when this is done now, tonight I'm going to present, are you going to try to do it yourself? Or do you have a group of like-minded people that you can discuss it? Do you have a community of people that you can discuss it? Because here's a classic example. Jeanette is actually ABSA director. So ABSA is one of the biggest banks in Africa. She's one of the directors of ABSA Bank. So, she's literally in the financial industry. But she didn't have her crew, and she joined the mastermind, and this was her experience of getting access to the right information, the right partners, and learning about these trends. Remember, the lesson number 1 is about trends, and this is what she had to say.
What I love about it is that it helps me to be active. I'm not just putting in my money and then going away. I'm growing, it's investing in myself, but it's also given me an opportunity to even involve my family as well. This notion of building generational wealth, it may be far-fetched for other people, but the mastermind has given me the opportunity to really start looking at how I built generational wealth, and I love that. And I can see how I'm integrating, the stuff that I'm doing and the passion I have for my corporate executive role, which I don't have to drop, but my wealth is also growing, and I'm also learning and continuing to invest.
So whenever I share with you these real people, real stories, I'm trying to share a lesson. So I want you to take out your pen, and I don't have a pen here, I don't think, but I want you to literally, yep, there's my pen. I want you to write down generational wealth, because what Jeanette just shared with you is, even though she works in a bank as a corporate employee, she didn't understand this stuff until she joined the mastermind. And now that she's joined the mastermind, not only is it helping her, but she can involve her family. And that is what we call generational wealth. So who here, likes and wants generational wealth? Write it down, write notes. I hope you're taking lots of notes tonight. And do me a favor, write generational wealth in the chat box, because this stuff's important. I am reinforcing some very, very important principles here that I want you to achieve in your life. The second lesson is risk. Understanding true diversification and the importance of income. The passive income trap here is chasing capital growth. I meet middle-class people and professional people all the time, and they're always chasing capital growth. Oh, just invest in Bitcoin. It's gone up, yay, and it's doubled, and I got this, or I invested in this new cryptocurrency, or I bought a house in Cape Town and it's gone through the roof. They're always chasing capital growth. And yet capital growth does not give you freedom. and it does not give you what you're looking for in terms of the long-term future and specifically passive income. I'll prove it to you. So we had the crash in 2008, and literally the world was falling apart. And I went along to my uncle. Now, I've already shared with you that my uncle is a successful investor. And I said, what are you investing in? He said, I'm investing in Coca-Cola. I said, why Coca-Cola? He said, well, think about it. No matter what happens in the world, people are going to drink Cokes. Plus, they're diversified. They've got lots of products, all different products. They're in over 100 countries. But most importantly, they pay really good dividends. Income. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. I then went a couple of years later and I bought a book called Snowball. And it was all about Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett owns, when I read the book, I don't know what the status is right now, but he owns 15% of Coca-Cola. And he said it for the exact same reason. He buys Coca-Cola because of diversification and income. Well, I then learned that story myself personally. You can see the date down here, 2002, just after September the 11th. Now, it was interesting because in September the 11th, after that, England went to a war with Afghanistan. And because of that, fuel prices went up and inflation went up and interest rates went up, just like what's happened in the last 2 years. And I wanted to buy a house. And I was 25 years old. All my mates said I'm absolutely mad. And what was so interesting, I was 24, 25, I can't remember. And all my mates said I'm absolutely mad. And so I showed my friend, I said, look, we can buy this house over here. And we can literally put a conservatory on it. We can turn a 3-bedroom property into a 5-bedroom property. We can live in the property, but we can make this property cash flow positive. And we've actually got a nice buffer. And even if interest rates go up, we've still got a buffer. And what I learned in that experience was that income gives you freedom. It's income that helps you travel between the highs and lows of the market, not capital growth. And it was so interesting because all my mates that, poo-pooed it went and bought property in 2007, chasing capital growth. And then the market crashed in 2008 and they lost lots of money. Another lesson I learned was these medical buildings. When you've got the property market crash in America in 2008, 2009, properties around America lost 40 to 70%, depending on where you were. But good commercial properties just kept paying all the way through. And a great example of this is a building where we invested in Feltman Equities in literally December of 2020. So do you remember December of 2020, right in the middle of COVID? And everyone said, don't buy office because, office is dead. Well, our partner, and by the way, they're worth $3 billion. So this is what I mean by talking and working with wealthy institutional partners. We invested in that building. And look, it just paid us another $6,300. And every 3 months, it pays us $6,300. This month, they even gave us a special distribution. And every month since January 2021, we have been paid. So, I always say, what happens in the markets, you need to focus on income. And a great example of that is a lady called Hilda. She met us in 2013. She started investing in commercial buildings in America. She diversified. She started building up her passive income. This was actually a picture of me and her on Necker Island with Richard Branson. Her buildings allowed her to go and spend a week with Richard Branson. But more importantly, she immigrated to America in 2019, 2020, I can't remember. And her buildings allowed her for 2 years to set herself up and establish herself in America. Now, some of you will be saying, but she must have been really wealthy. Well, what about Cynthia? What about this lady who's a teacher and how she got income in 30 days?
I'm living in a foreign country. I can't go back into my old career, which was China media, because I'm living in Italy. I had 3 kids to feed. I'd left my husband. And I was like, where's my skill set? So I was actually at the stage of just how do you put food on the table? And it was the first time it hit me that I was working for money, selling my time for my hours for time, and that my money wasn't working for me. And I was in that frozen position of what do I do with it? I need this money to work for me. because I'm over here scrambling to find a job and to put food on the table for the kids. I was really at that paralyzed, what do I do? What do I invest in? I was at that age where I felt like I don't have another, ride it out 20 years and the stock market always rebounds. I don't have another 20 years to ride it out. What are your needs? What's your financial situation? And I pulled up that matured fund that I had and said, I need to invest this, but I can't invest it for the long term. Here are my needs. I have immediate goals. I have 3 children that have just gone off to college. So I suddenly have immediate financial goals that I'm not going to be able to meet if I keep just relying on my income or selling time for money. And they listened. They asked really smart, relevant questions I wouldn't have thought of, but they were particular to me. And I didn't feel like I was being put into a box of you're this type of investor, or you're this type of investor, or you're this type, And it wasn't just the are you high risk? Are you low risk? It was really they really tried to understand my needs. And within 24 hours, they had a proposal to me. But here's what we're going to do to solve your immediate problem. And within 1 month, I had income coming in from an investment from them, which just liberated me. I mean, it was just the buffer I needed to not panic about money anymore and to make the rest of the decisions slowly and, from a different mindset.
So again, the second lesson, it's all about income. And I strongly recommend again that you take out your pen and you write down income in your notebook, or you type income into the chat box, because income is the second most important part of this whole process. And you need income in terms of it. The third lesson is about diversification. Now, this is the single most important component to financial success. And what's so interesting is that the passive income trap here is that uncertainty is a problem. The time is not right. And just like at the moment, people are like, but I don't know, I mustn't do anything. The time is not right. I must put my money under the mattress. And what's so interesting is that Ray Dalio, now I spoke earlier of Ray Dalio, he manages $160 billion. Just by the way, you need $100 million to invest with him. Now I can see just going back to income, only Sammy, Bagwandas, Anita, and Kevin believe in income. The rest of you, and again, I'm going to prove this to you. There's a reason why only 1% of people get wealthy. It's because 1% of people take action. So I would strongly recommend that you pay attention, and that these things where I help you and I guide you and I invite you and tell you to write them down, you are reinforcing what is really important. Now, this guy, Ray Dalio, manages $160 billion. You need $100 million to invest with him alone. So I don't know about you, I don't have $100 million, so I can't. But he's achieved 21% a year for the last 40 years. But what I can do is I can learn from him and I can copy from him. Here's a video I made about Ray Dalio.
Do you know that Ray Dalio manages $160 billion? He's been doing it for 40 years and his average return is 21% a year. Yes, you heard me correctly, 21% a year in US dollars. And his secret formula is that you need 15 quality assets that don't move in tandem. So what are those 15 quality assets for you? My name is Scott Picken. I've been helping people invest internationally for over 20 years. I've helped people in 178 countries, facilitated over $1.3 billion in investments. And often people think that diversification and building a globally diversified passive income is super complicated. It's not. And I am literally offering you a solution.
So again, you can do it all yourself or you can copy. And Ray Dalio says, the single most important component to financial success, I've been teasing you with this all night. What is it? What's the word? Type in the chat box. What is the single most important component to financial success? Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Who is going to win? And the first one, Andra van Niekerk, well done. You are the winner. Diversification. Nisha, well done. You're also correct. Xavier, you're also correct. You are correct. It is diversification. You need to diversify across asset classes, within asset classes, across markets and currencies, and across time. And he shares his secret formula. You need 15 uncorrelated bets, an attractive array of assets that don't move in tandem, which will reduce your risk by 80% and increase your risk-return ratio by a factor of 5. Now, I don't have time tonight to go into all the details, but what I do want to share with you, in simple terms, what he is saying is you need 15 quality assets to reduce your risk by 80% and to increase your return by a factor of 5. 15 quality assets that don't move in tandem. That's all he's saying. 15 quality assets to reduce your risk by 80% and increase your return by a factor of 5. Now, you can figure out how to do it all yourself, or you can copy, you can partner. You can be like these people on this side that join the mastermind and get access to the best information and the best partners. You know, this was Ray Dalio being interviewed by a TED Talk.
So what the individual investor needs to do is know how to diversify well. So the word that I would know how to diversify well and in a balanced way, to diversify it in asset classes, to diversify it in countries, to diversify it in currencies, to know how to diversify that well so that you have wealth diversification is important. Do not think that cash is a safe investment. Cash is almost always the worst investment. So you have to think about that. You should think a little bit unconventionally. Diversify well, be humble, don't market time, and be conscious of the dangers of cash.
So, if I sum it up here, he said, you have to diversify well. You need to know how to diversify in assets, currencies, and countries and currencies. Knowing how to diversify your wealth is the most important thing. There it's coming straight from the man. Now, I want to share with you a couple of mistakes people make when it comes to diversification. So I met a doctor in Johannesburg. He had a house and he wanted to pay off his house. He went to see his financial advisor. He said, pay off your whole house. And I said, but the problem is that the rand over the last 40 years has devalued by 6% year on year against the US dollar. It's statistical. You're basically investing in a depreciating asset in a depreciating currency. And that's even worse when people do developments and own, new apartments, because they're not even cash flow positive. They actually cost them money and it's in a depreciating currency. And yet they don't worry, I'm getting capital growth. It's a disaster. You look at the global wealth index. Again, when I wrote my book, Property Going Global, and you got the global wealth index, which is a model I put together. It's a basket of goods. And if you take 1983, you can see here 1983, 1993, 2003, 2013, 2023. The rand has lost 92% in buying power against the US dollar. Now, what does that mean for property? Well, I bought a property in Knysna, South Africa. It's one of the most beautiful places in the country. It's a beautiful house. And what was interesting is that we bought the property for 5.5 million rand. We sold it for 14 million, which makes us look hell of a clever. We got 161% return on our money. But when you actually go and do the maths, if you look at how much money we put down in rands, that actually equaled at the time $111,000 because the rand was at 9 rand 85 to the dollar. And when we sold it for 14, the rand was at 18 rand 19 cents, which basically meant that we made $154,000. But we invested $177,000. So in dollars, in rands, we were up 161%, but in dollars, we lost $22,000. Quite scary, huh? Sometimes you think you're making money and you actually lose money. If we'd taken that money and invested in America using the averages that I've already shown you tonight, we would have got in the region of $400,000, which is a $300,000 difference. Very, very important to do the maths. Mistake number 2. People say, I'm diversifying. I had breakfast with a guy last week. He bought a house in London. Takes all his money, puts it in a house in London. But the problem is he's got all his eggs in one basket. He's got one tenant, one management agent, one income stream. Or you've got people that, this gentleman here went and invested in 8 portfolios, 8 medical buildings, but it was with one company, one team, one income stream, one asset class, one country, one currency. All his eggs in one basket, and he's earning no money. Or what about where you say, we're going to put all my money in one country? Every country's had its crisis. America, England had Brexit. America had its chaos in 2008, 2009. Everywhere's had it. Australia. I mean, if you look at Case Shiller, if you invested all your money in American property in 2008, you would look like a bit of a fool, considering the market lost 40 to 70%. And so it's all about diversification. And, over the last 24 months, I've invested in 10 different assets, 4 different continents, 5 different currencies, 9 different asset classes, and with 10 different partners. It's what we call diversification 5.0. And what I love doing, and what we do at our mastermind level with our partners, is we help people diversify across countries, currencies, assets. We had someone here that put $100,000 in. They wanted to get a blended return between capital growth and income. They're getting a total return of about 15%. With a mixture between blend and income. And I showed them the difference between the different scenarios. And a good example of this is a gentleman called Chad Pope. He bought his first property in Australia in 2011. He then started investing in commercial property in America in 2014, and subsequently is doing other alternative assets, and even brought some of those alternative assets to our platform. And what's so interesting is that we partner with a family office. You're going to meet them later. I'm going to introduce you in more detail to them. But this is what they had to say about how our family office helped the wealthiest people in the world to invest. And this is what they say about what they do for their clients.
This doesn't change, guys. Asset allocation, and this is not all of the asset classes we work with, but asset allocation is going to account for 85% of your return and is the fundamental building blocks of asset management and a financial plan that's going to produce income or anything. But Anthony's going to talk to this, and this will give you very specific kind of views around the returns, the averages, and where we think the value lies.
So I go into this in a lot more detail when we do our challenge, or if you join our mastermind. But what they just said there was 85% of your long-term returns at the age of 65 will come down to your portfolio construction. Are you designing your portfolio? Are you designing your portfolio? Is your financial planner designing your portfolio? Do you even understand what they're doing? Because it's going to require and ultimately end up in 85% of your returns. As an example, you got the stock market in dark blue, and you got private equity in light blue. Over a 5-year period, a 10-year period, a 15-year period, and a 20-year period, private equity has outperformed the stock market. How many of you actually are even investing in private equity? Or what about this? I know this is a complicated graph, but at the bottom here, you got risk. So on the left-hand side, it's low risk, and on the right-hand side, it's high risk. At the bottom here, it's low return, and over at the top here, it's high return. So what most of you will have your money invested in is a combination of bonds and stocks. This is a typical portfolio from a financial planner. And it sits here in the highest risk, lowest return category. If you literally put 20% of your portfolio into private equity, you now sit in the lowest risk, highest return category. Interesting. How many of you have private equity in your portfolio? And if you look here, the average investor is getting 3.6% return on their investment, when the stock market on average is getting 9.5%. So you're way below in terms of the returns. And people say to me, yeah, but Scott, it's not possible. And I go, okay, well, maybe not. Let's go to a platform. We built this platform, Wealth Migrate. You can literally go into Wealth Migrate. You can log in. And right now on our platform, you've got deals so let's just load. You can see I'm doing this live for you. So we got a debt deal in Manhattan. We got an equity deal also in Manhattan. We've got a blended deal in Manhattan. We've got a private equity deal in London. We've got a debt deal in Austin, Texas, in America. And we got a property deal, a commercial property deal in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, where do you want to invest? Do you want to invest in the heart of Manhattan? Do you want to invest in London? Do you want to invest in Austin? Do you want to invest in Phoenix? Where do you want to invest? Come on, let me know. Where would you like to invest? Put it in the chat box for me. So Bhagwanda said all. So Andra said various. So let's just take a look here. So actually, before I go there, let's just look at the returns as well. Here you've got a 10% return in dollars, 10% in your pocket, income return in dollars. Here you've got a total return of 22.5%. That's a capital growth return plus a 9% income. Here you've got a 17% return. Here you've got a total return of 25%. Here you've got an income return of 9.42%. And here you've got a total return of 16%. And what's interesting is that if we go and choose any of these deals, now I don't have time tonight to go into all the details, but you can literally see this deal is right in downtown Manhattan, right next to the financial district. So right next to the New York Stock Exchange. You like this deal, you say, right, I want to invest in this deal. I literally go this deal from $10. I go continue. I sign the agreements. I digitally can download the thing. I go agree and I go make investment. And you've just seen me invest into Manhattan. Now, 10 years ago, like Michael, you had to fly to America with me. You had to open a company. You had to open a bank account. You had to have $100,000 plus to invest. Now you've just seen me invest in Manhattan from $10. But what about I want to invest in London? Well, I can literally go along. I like this deal. I go invest in the deal. I go continue. I digitally sign the agreements. I go, I agree. I go make investment. And you've just seen me invest in London. And my question to you is, how cool is that? We talk about diversification. You now truly have access to world-class partners, institutional assets, the right information, and you can get started from $10. This is diversification. And if you remember back to the days of Monopoly, this is a red hotel, a red hotel, a red hotel, and a red hotel. And again, this is what Cynthia had to say about her experience of getting access to the right information, the right partners at an institutional level.
It's a safety net that's just unbelievable to me, that someone who is not by any means a high net worth individual can have your money working for you, can have my money working for me, and give me that peace of mind. But there really isn't anything like finding the partnerships that we have in this group. So yeah, I think the partnership is the number one reason to join the mastermind. It's not just about the knowledge. It's about how do you execute, but you can't execute unless you have the deals in front of you. And you can't have deals in life, in any aspect of life, unless you have good partners. And it's a partnership that I would highly recommend people to. It's worth the entire investment. When I think of where I was 1 year ago, it's a million miles away, and not just because I have income coming in, but knowing what my next steps are. Like, I know where I'm going. I know where the next chunk of money is going to go into. I know what, I want to invest in. I know what I don't want to invest in. And I know the partners that I want to do it with. And that's just a huge weight off anybody's, financial shoulders.
So another lesson for you is partners. I spoke earlier this evening, you can try and do it all yourself, or you can partner with people. They can hold your hand, you can invest alongside them, you can learn from them, and it's all about partnership. And I suppose you get to choose. Do you want to partner with poor people and middle-class people and professionals, or do you want to partner with people that are wealthy, that are the top 1%, the family officers of the world that look after the wealthiest people? It's all about partners. A good example of that is, and just by the way, that's what our mastermind is all about. It is about partnerships. It is about getting access to the best partners. It's about institutional partners. It's about partnering with a family office. It's all about getting access to world-class partners. A good example of this is tax and structure. You want to protect and optimize your wealth. And yet the passive income trap here is, trust us, we've got you covered. And the problem is a lot of people go out and they try to do tax structuring, they go meet your financial planner, and they get stuck on some small island in Mauritius or the Seychelles or the BVI or the Cayman Islands or something like that. And what I find so interesting is that whenever I go out and I talk to people, they kind of have a financial planner. It's like, don't worry, I trust my financial planner. He's kind of got me covered. But when we deal with our family office, and I've been dealing with them since 2012, we looked and studied and mapped what they do. So they manage 65 families. They manage around about $1 billion in assets. And we mapped and we tracked and we looked at all the patterns between myself and my team. And there were 9 steps to generational wealth, 9 steps to generational wealth. And what was so interesting is that when you look at the typical financial planner, they are doing one step. Yeah. How many of you have a financial planner that's just doing one step? The wealthiest people in the world are doing 9 steps to generational wealth. Our mastermind has been designed to copy the 9 steps and to allow you to partner with the partners that do the 9 steps. And again, I'll take a picture of this, by the way, because whether you want to work with us or not, go to your financial planner, give it to them and say, which one of these steps are you doing? And if not, why not? And well done, Andra. I took up the challenge and I'm using the Wealth Migrate platform, partnership, learning to change behavior and stop doing it on my own. Well done. Congratulations. I had to learn as well. And, a great example of this is that our mastermind was taken through a course on effective tax and structuring, estate duties, and how best to earn a globally diversified passive income. And each person that joins the mastermind gets access to the family office, and they help them structure their portfolio to be tax efficient. Again, how many of you would like that? And it's not always about what you get. Sometimes it's about stopping what you lose. Manu tried to do it all on his own, and he lost $250,000. Someone else defrauded him $250,000. And then he found us, and we actually helped him, and we helped structure and set up and help him start investing around the world. Here's a dentist, and this was his experience. He'd been a dentist for 49 years, and he wanted to get in control of his finances. He didn't understand them.
I've been a dentist for 47 years. I've just retired. And so I'm learning my new career path, which is very exciting. There's some incredible people on board, there really are. So I'm learning a lot. And in terms of learning, it's showing me a completely new path that I didn't even know existed. So it's been exciting, really has, yeah. My financial advisor, who I think is very good, he's been with me 15 years and he's always looked after me. And I don't think he is a typical financial advisor because he runs his own portfolio. But it was typically that. I didn't understand what he was talking about when I went in there. He could say, well, I'm going to put this and do that and buy that and change this. I didn't know what he was doing. Now, all of a sudden, I understand what he's saying. I understand where we're going, and I can actually ask questions and say, no, I don't agree with that. Whereas before, I just listened and signed a paper. That was it. Now I feel that I'm in control. I really feel I'm in control of my financial future. And that gives me a lot of confidence going forward. And I'm trying to get my kids involved. My son-in-law wants to start a new business, and there's just so much now that I can impart my knowledge to them and feel confident with what I'm saying, not just saying it for the sake of saying it. I really feel I can help them on their journey to financial wealth now. That, to me, is probably one of the biggest spin-offs of joining you guys.
Again, how many of you would like control? Just like Evan, you weren't in control and you would like control. This was Niels and Catherine. They're in the medical industry, and they were in the dark. They couldn't speak the word of investing and finances like most of us. And then they joined the mastermind, and it made such a huge difference. He said, I don't feel so stupid anymore when having discussions with the likes of Calio. Of course, I don't know enough, but I can follow their comments without being completely in the dark. It is so liberating. And this is what he had to say about his experience. And why I'm showing these real people, real stories, is I want you to be like them. I want you to learn and join the mastermind and have the same experiences.
Definitely, Scott. It is so stressful not to know where to go, to have financial partners and advice. Just the connections that you gave us with Calio and others, bring us in contact with these people to understand it. It makes a world of a difference. It takes a lot of stress off your shoulders. Actually, a very positive experience, especially in the world now with all these uncertainties. But from a human side, I mean, this was a phenomenal experience. And it happened so fast for us. But we were ready for it because we've been sitting on this for 1.5 years, just frustrated, don't know what to do. But I believe, going forward, it's going to work out. Whatever is going to happen on the financial side, I feel that we have proper partners in you and in the mastermind and with Calio. It's a very positive experience. It's a positive, relaxing feel.
So what I'd like you to write down, and what I recommend you write down, and again, take out that pen of yours, is wealth protection. Wealth protection. You've worked hard for your money, and now it's time for your money to work hard for you. It's time to protect your money, to not have all your eggs tied up in one country, one currency, one asset class. It's time to not have all your eggs in one basket. That's what wealth protection is all about. And so I got a question for you. It's a lot of information I've shared with you so far. And who's feeling overwhelmed? Just maybe a little bit. I know. I've done this 28 years. I've presented in many, many countries all over the world to tens and hundreds of thousands of people. And what I'm trying to share with you is a lot of stuff. So I understand it can overwhelm you. And I joke, there's this lovely little picture of a girl, and sometimes people say it's like drinking from a fire hose. But what I want to do is, you've got two choices. You can keep trying to do it all on your own, and you can absorb all this information. I mean, you've given your time tonight, which I respect and value, but it's been free. Or you can make a decision to do it differently and to partner and to join something like a mastermind and get access to the best information and the best partners. People like Jordan, we started the evening with who they were, and that they were wanting to build a portfolio and to protect their wealth, and what they were looking for: passive income, simplicity, safety, diversification, getting results, the right knowledge, wealth protection, a plan B and peace of mind, accountability, access to a family office, generational wealth, a wealth plan, and getting results. We met Victoria, and she wanted a streamlined investment strategy. She wanted to feel empowered to make the right decisions, and she wanted financial freedom. And I asked you two questions right up front. What would it mean to you in 12 months or less to be earning at least 6K in passive income without any hassle or complexity? And I also asked you, how would you like a system which can statistically help you get there 5 times faster, simpler, and safer? Who would like me to share with you a system that can help you do that? Who would like me to make you an offer where I'll literally show you how you can do this safely and simply? If you don't want to, no problem. You can switch off the webinar. I've given you the information. I've still got number 5 coming, by the way. But before I get to number 5, lesson number 5, you can do it all on your own. I've given it to you. Or you can be like this person over here that goes, no, I've learned. What Scott has taught me is that the way to get there 5 times simpler, safer, and faster, statistically, is to partner, to join something like a mastermind. And so, for all the people that have said yes, let me share with you how you can do that. Because this is about living a life unlimited, and it's about diversification 5.0. This was the picture I gave you. It's about diversifying across countries, currencies, assets, partners, and time. But ultimately, it's all about passive income. Now, let's have some fun. Let's play a little game. So I want to ask you an extremely challenging question, but it's a direct question. You go to a doctor, and a doctor says to you, you've got a serious medical condition, and you have to lose at least 10 to 15 kilos as soon as possible. Now, I hope this never happens to you. It's a game. But the point is, it illustrates an important point. I'll remind you again, you have to achieve the goal. You have to lose 10 to 15 kilos as quickly as possible. But there are 2 choices. The first option is you can buy a home study workout plan. You can go home, you can watch it on the TV, and you can do your gym in front of the TV. And the second option is you have a coach that trains you daily. They arrive at your house, they knock on the door, they hold your hand, they take you to the gym, and they coach you. Which one is going to help you get better results? If you answered honest, which one would you have confidence that would get you better results? Number one, the home study course, trying to do it all on your own. Or number two, getting the coach. And again, when you look through all the different people, it's generally the coach, number two, the coach. It's about partnering and coaching in terms of it. Now, this might seem like a silly example, but imagine if you said the same for your wealth. How many of you have been trying to do the home study course all on your own versus getting the coach who's going to hold your hand, who's going to partner with you and help you get the results? What about if you wanted to get globally diversified passive income? You know, for some investors, those are the super experienced, sophisticated, confident, or motivated beyond belief. We've got what the doctor ordered. I mean, I told you the framework: partners, access, information, and diversification. We've built you all the tools. If you want access to the right partners, we've got asset class mastery, the home study course. If you want access to the right deals, we've got Wealth Migrate. Go on the platform and invest. If you want access to the right information, we've got Wealth Going Global. Go and do the home study course. And if you want diversification, well, the platform truly enables you to do that. We've proven for over 2 decades that we want to help you with a better, more effective option. And the challenge is that normally working with a family office and getting access to a coach and building a wealth system is very, very expensive. But we know that that's what works. We want to help people with one-to-one support and coaching every step of the way at a lower cost than most other options. We want to democratize access to what the top 1% are doing. And how are we going to do that? Simple. We're going to copy technology. Just like Uber did it in the taxi industry, Airbnb did it in hotels, Netflix did it in videos. Each and every one of us now with a smartphone has access to our own private driver. So after 20 years of helping people invest in the investment space, several coaching programs, plenty of masterminds myself, a huge amount of experience of what works with thousands and thousands of investors, we found that the investment space was broken. And so we fixed it. Firstly, we created all the home study products. Everything I've shown you already exists. If you want to do it all on your own, if you want to be this person, go off. You can do it. There's all the information. There's all the places. But according to Harvard, you have a 400% better chance of success if you have a coach rather than doing it on your own. And I know for me, I've spent my whole life, I've told you already, whenever I've wanted to learn something, I've invested in myself. I've paid someone money. I've gone to the person who has the answers and I paid the money so I could partner with them. I could learn from them. And when I watched this video, because I joined my first mastermind in 2011 with a guy called Roger Hamilton, and he literally said to me, you need to join this. And I said, well, I don't have the time. He said, Scott, if you join this, you'll get back the very thing you want, time. And 10 years later, I had a monumental impact on my life. And I didn't understand why until I found this video, which explained why masterminds are so effective.
No, this is extremely predictable. There's tons of research around it. Humans change 5 times faster in groups than they do with a one-on-one coach, consultant, or therapist in that case.
Wow.
So I started looking back at business models and people who had done this effectively over the generations. Masterminds aren't new, folks. They're not new at all. People have been doing this for thousands of years. And when you put a collection of people together who are all committed, all driven, and all so want to make the right changes happen, and you give them a leader to follow who's willing to get in the trenches with them, all of a sudden you start finding real, rapid life or business transformation.
So you know what he said there? People change 5 times faster in groups than they do with a one-on-one coach. But you need a collection of people who are all committed, all driven, and so want to make the right changes, and give them a leader to follow who's willing to get in the trenches with them. And all of a sudden you find real, rapid life and business transformation. What I like in life is, and I have a question, is if this is your comfort zone, what I like doing is taking people out of their comfort zone and getting them to where the magic happens. And that's what the mastermind is all about. Now for Nisha, she said, tell us how much it is. And I want to share with you who this mastermind is for. It's for people that want a holistic wealth plan. They don't want to be put in a box. They want a personalized and holistic wealth plan. They want investments and diversification. They want accountability, coaching, and access to a mastermind. They want a family office partnership. Normally you need $10 million to $250 million, depending on what country. And we have democratized access to a family office. Everyone that joins the mastermind gets access to the family office. Ongoing financial education and upskilling on asset classes and investments. A like-minded community of global citizens. A focus on results where fees are aligned to results. And you want to get everything above in the fastest, safest, and simplest way with the least amount of hassle, complexity, or time. Now, maybe you want to take a picture of that, because who wants that? Who wants holistic wealth planning, investments and diversification, accounting, coaching, and mastermind, family office partnership, ongoing financial education and upskilling, like-minded community, a focus on results, and getting everything faster, safer, and simpler with the least amount of hassle, complexity, and time? Because if that's what you want, then we've built the mastermind for you. Who is it not for? It's not for complete beginners. It's not for time wasters. It's not for people with no capital. And it's not for difficult personalities. You know those people that are negative Nellies or know everything? It's not for them. How do we run the mastermind? We follow the principle, we follow the formula that Ray Dalio has given us of diversification across countries, currencies, assets, partners, and time. And it's all about passive income. The focus is globally diversified passive income and portfolio growth. We basically do it by following the formula. This is the how. And what we do is we get very clear on the goal that you're trying to achieve. We break it down into monthly, midterm goals, and then we have tasks and activities. And we literally follow the 9-step formula. What we give you at the mastermind is a strategic wealth plan. This is where we create a clearly defined step-by-step action plan for your wealth, lifestyle, and legacy to provide you with peace of mind that your wealth is protected. A world-class investment access. This is where you get the right information and we connect you to the right partners to help you secure the top returns safely and simply. And a smart investing system. This is where we work with you to set up a predictable system to get you investing like the top 1%. Now, do me a favor. Does that sound good? Can you see yourself doing this? Is this exciting? I mean, isn't this cool? Like, I get so excited when I talk about this stuff because, I mean, we've helped over 100 families now come and be part of the mastermind. And I just so enjoy sitting with them and enjoying it when they give me their feedback in terms of what is happening. And, the question I'd have is, would you like to be the next case study in terms of this process? Cynthia said, thank God for this mastermind, the partners it brings us, and the exponential learning curve that it has gifted us. And what is so interesting is that we've got 3 passive income communities. We've got the 6K Club, the 12K Club, and the 24K Club. The 6K Club is for people that are currently retail investors, but they're wanting to move to sophisticated investors. They want to master their portfolio. The 12K Club is for high net worths that want to become global investors, and it's all about global diversification. And the 24K Club is for generational wealth investors, and it's about ensuring your legacy. And what I've found is that when people pay, they pay attention. And what this means is when someone invests in themselves, the more investment they make, the more commitment that they make, the more committed they are to getting the results. Do they want $6,000 in passive income? Or do they want $12,000 in passive income and portfolio growth? Or do they want $24,000? And what I found is that price, in the essence of value, is actually inconsequential. Because when people invest in themselves, that's when they truly, truly make a commitment and get results. And so I got a question for you, and I'm going to put up another poll. Which would you like to be part of? Would you like to be part of the 6K club? Would you like to be part of the 12K club? Or would you like to be part of the 24K club? What level of mastermind would you like to be part of? What type of commitment, what type of investment are you willing to make in yourself? How committed are you truly to protecting your wealth, to getting a plan B, to having passive income, to getting global diversification, to working with a family office, to having accountability and access to other like-minded people? You know, it's so interesting in the space of investment. It can be lonely. I mean, I deal with people all the time and they're like, it's so lonely. I've got no one else to speak to. But yet now I've got a like-minded of global citizens. And just by the way, in our mastermind, we got people from England, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Germany, America, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Angola, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia. We've got this eclectic group of people from all over the world, a mixture of men and women, a mixture of diverse backgrounds between highly successful entrepreneurs and business owners, investors, chartered accountants, doctors. I don't know if we've got any lawyers, actually, farmers, teachers, we've got plumber, corporate executives, directors. And that's the beauty. This group of globally like-minded people around the world, and you get access to be part of that like-minded community. So go to the poll. I'll put the poll up and answer the question. I'd love to know which club would you like to be part of, and how much would you be prepared to commit to invest in yourself to get the results? Because as I learned from one of my mentors, and by the way, this is one of my business coaches that I've invested a lot of money, and she taught me, in the presence of value, price is inconsequential. And I remind you of what I shared with you right up front, and I know I've shared a lot today. But if you try and do it on your own, statistically, according to Harvard, within 3 months, you're not even going to retain 10% of what I've taught you. But if you join something like a mastermind, statistically, 95%, within 3 months, 95% of this will not only be retained, but it'll actually be implemented, executed, and getting you results. Here's another little video for you.
Scott, can you remember when you were a little kid and it was Christmas morning and you opened your Christmas presents? Huh? Can you remember that? That's what I feel like.
I have a little kid, so I get reminded quite regularly at the moment.
I tell you what, amazing. And I only just got a few dollars back in my investments to get, it's the second payment that I got in that I've seen on my wallet. And it's money that I didn't have to slog for. I had to think for it, but I didn't have to slog for. And it's absolutely fantastic. It's just when you start seeing your money work for you, it's just an absolutely indescribable feeling. And as a farmer now, I've got a very specific goal, which says that I need to build alternate income streams so that the weather doesn't matter. Because that's, being a crop farmer, the weather matters very much, and particularly this past year. When your income for a year is only 30% of what your expenses have been, you're in a difficult position. And to be energized and as excited as what I am in that position is incredibly empowering. Thanks, Scott.
And Derek is one of the members that joined the mastermind in October 2022. He's got a beautiful saying, and he says, "Get it done." And he's always had this mindset, even when he's had adversity, but he invested in himself. And for him, it's all about getting it done. And so the word I want you to write down is results, because I'm not here to give you fluff. I'm not here to talk theory. I'm not here to tell you what others are doing. I'm showing you what real people are doing to get real results. And so, write down the word results. If you want results, if you want to stop talking about it and you actually want to start doing it, if you want results for you and your family, then I think you're in the right place. But one of the things that scares me, and I'd be surprised if it doesn't scare you, is that Q1 is already over. In fact, April's even over. So 1/3 of our entire year is over. And we're running out of time again. Believe it or not, 2025, we're going to blink and it's gone. And people come to me all the time and they say, oh, but don't worry, Scott, I'll do it in 3 months. You know, I'm selling a house and I'll get started, or I'm leaving a job, or I'm retiring in October. No. You will blink and the year will be over. And this year will be no different from 2024, 2023, or 2022, or probably the last decade. You have to do something different. And as an example, we had two choices. We could easily charge. I mean, I've paid Tony Robbins $50,000 for 1 week. I paid him $50,000 to be with him for 1 week. We could easily charge you $50,000 to get access to a world-class mastermind and the family office and everything that it comes with it. But we decided not to charge $50,000. In England, you would easily pay $25,000 for a mastermind. In fact, most masterminds in England are $25,000. I've paid $25,000 regularly for multiple masterminds. Roger Hamilton's mastermind, I paid $25,000 a year for 10 years. But we're not charging $25,000. What's interesting is that we're not even charging $10,000. But the question I would have for you is that, would you invest $6,000, $12,000, or even $24,000 if all it did was help you achieve your freedom goal? Would it be worth it to you? So again, I'm going to ask you the question. Would you invest in yourself $6,000, $12,000, or $24,000 if all it did was help you achieve your freedom goal? Would that alone be worth it to you? What about if all it did was protect your wealth? I mean, the wealth that you've really worked hard for. If all it did was protect your wealth, would it be worth $6,000, $12,000, or $24,000 to you? What about if all it did was save you a decade of time? Would it be worth $6K, $12K, or $24K? What about if all it did was provide you with globally diversified passive income and ultimately peace of mind? Would it be worth $6K, $12K, or $24K? You know, because when you look at Michael, I introduced you to Michael earlier. He made the commitment in February 2013. In those days, it was different. You had to pay $2,000 to join, $5,000 to fly to America. He was $7,000 in. But you know what's interesting is that he got what he wanted. His daughters are living in England. They've got that freedom. Him and his family have immigrated there. And he said, when I joined, it was the best money I'd ever spent. And it would never have happened if I tried to do it myself. And this is what we call freedom. So the last word that I'd like you to write down is freedom. How many of you would like freedom? I mean, I've got the poll up. I've literally given you the option with the mastermind. If you would like to join it, just go and say yes or no, or need more information, or want to talk to someone, because this is all about freedom. How do you get freedom? You've got a couple of choices. You can go and try and do it all yourself, like these people over here. They want to go and do it all themselves. But you've got these people that partner. They know that it's, I mean, I've proven it to you over and over again tonight. It's statistically proven that you can get there simpler, safer, and faster by partnering and ultimately getting the freedom that you want in your life. Now, the challenge that we've got at the mastermind is that it's very bespoke. We work one-to-one. I work with you one-to-one. The family office works with you one-to-one. And so there's no way to scale it. And so we can only ever offer 5 places. We can only bring on about 5 people. And then once we've helped those people, then we allow people to be able to join. So we have quite a big constraint. And because of that, we literally sit down with someone. So if you want to apply to join the mastermind, you can literally go to this link, diversificationmastermind.com. And what it is it's an application call. You sit down with one of our team members, and we want to understand what it is you're wanting to achieve. We understand what is blocking you. We want to understand and see if you qualify. And we want to help you with the next best steps. I would ask people that if you book and you're committed, then please respect each other's time. My time is valuable. Your time is valuable. My team members' time is valuable. If you book a time, please turn up on time. And I remind you that we've only have 5 spaces. So go and find a time, find the first available time, sit down with one of our team members and understand it. And if you go to this link, literally you just see it here. It comes up, Diversification Mastermind. You've got a calendar. You can literally go into the calendar. You can find a time that suits you in terms of this process. And, you can literally book a time and you can go through if you want to. There's lots of videos from different clients and you can go listen and hear what they've all got to say. You can read about it. I mean, we've got lots and lots and lots of these, but you can go and read all about it. But the most important thing is go and book a time, find a time that suits you. And Kelly, maybe if you can just let the team know, I'd like them to open up some slots for Wednesday, considering today is Tuesday. I see that Wednesday is already full, so maybe not possible, but maybe if the team could help there. It's obviously a number of people have already done it. Just by the way, if you've already had a discovery call with one of our team members, you want to join the mastermind, you don't need to book another call. Just reach out to that team member and just say, hey, I'm keen to join the mastermind. And then they can help take you through that process. You don't need to have another discovery call in terms of that process. So that's how you do it. I think it was Nisha earlier that asked, jump on the call. We want to basically understand what it is you're looking for. It takes 15 minutes. We understand what you're looking for, what's been blocking you so far from achieving it, how can we actually help you achieve it, and see if there's a mutual fit from a qualification. Again, we're working with people. We want to understand what you're trying to achieve and make sure we can help you. And secondly, we want you to understand who we are and the solution we're offering and just make sure that there's a mutual fit. Because remember, we're in a group of like-minded people, and it's significantly important to sit with everyone one-to-one and make sure that this is a right fit. This is a hand in glove. We only are here to get results. We put our money in our mouth where it is to help people get results. And because of that, we need to make sure that we're helping the right people get involved. You know, what's interesting, when you look at the stats, the average person sees a return on investment of 344% from coaching and 700% for businesses. So, what are you going to do in terms of your investment in yourself? And again, you can go and look. There's loads of testimonials. I always joke, get a cup of coffee or a video and go and, get a cup of coffee to watch the videos. But there's videos after videos after videos where you can go through and watch what people have got. Some of the bonuses to joining the mastermind, you'll get access to me and my team. Literally, it's our private banking solution. You'll get access to our tax and currency partners. You'll get access to my home study course, Wealth Going Global. You'll get access, which is all about the right information. You'll get access to Asset Class Mastery, which is all about the partners. You'll get the modules and the work that I've done with Clem Sunter, which is all about the scenarios. You'll join, one of our communities where you'll basically, it's like being at the top of the airplane. You get access to everything. You'll get access to immigration agents if that's something that you're looking for. You'll also be able to join us at the Wealth Weekends. So we hold once or twice a year get-togethers. This was the one in March 2024 in Cape Town. This was in August 2024 up in the Cradle of Humankind. And this was in March 2025 in Knysna. And we're putting together the next one in September. It's either going to be in Portugal or back in the Western Cape in South Africa. And then finally, you also get access to our buyers trips. And I've been doing these buyers trips now. I'm sorry, my nose is getting dry. I've been doing these buyers trips all over, London, America, Australia. And this was the one that we did in February in London. The weather was bloody horrendous, but we looked at some amazing buildings. So if you want access to the right information, the right partners to invest like the top 1%, to partner with the top 1%, then my strong recommendation is go to diversificationmastermind.com. It's the application call, and we'll literally take you through the process. I do remind you, please only book if you're committed, and we've only got 5 spaces. And for us, it's all about results. So we put our money and our time where our mouth is. If you join the mastermind, if you invest in yourself, then we work with you until you achieve your objective. So, as an example, if someone joins the 6K club, we work with you for free after you make your investment in yourself until you achieve at least 6K in passive income or portfolio growth. And again, for those that are financially minded, I told you earlier that I would show you. So I had a gentleman, he had $12,000. He had his money in a financial house called Allen Gray, and he was earning 7%. I showed him, I've already shown you tonight, that we've done over 14% on average for the last 10 years. Our family office has also done 14%. And so I showed him, if you invest 1%, if you invest $1,000 a month or $12,000 in total, and you invest $6,000, so you invest $6,000 in yourself, so you now get access to the right information and the right partners. Over 5 years, you're getting 182% return on investment. And that equals, in today's money, so taking into account time value of money, $10,900. Basically, call it $11,000. Over 10 years, it's 800% or $48,000. I showed you this number earlier. And over 30 years, if you're starting to think legacy and financial planning, it's 12,000% or $743,000, literally $743,000. How important is your wealth to you over the next 10, 20, or even 30 years? If I put that to you in simple English, if you join the Diversification Mastermind, and if you invest $1,000 a month or have $12,000 in capital or more, it'll be worth $48,000 to you in 10 years compared with doing it on your own. Interesting, huh? How many of you would invest $6,000 in yourself if it meant $48,000 in today's money? If you understand things like return on investment, then you would understand that this is important. And if it makes sense to you, then come along and book a call. There's the link. And I'll give you some examples of pictures. This was us in New York in 2013. It was very, very freezing. This was us in Times Square with Dr. Dolph DeRuis buying properties in Phoenix, Arizona, having some fun in the Grand Canyon and having, by helicopter going down by drinks. A show in Las Vegas, buying houses in Atlanta, and buying more houses in Atlanta. This is actually Michael Honeysett here, and this is one of the houses he bought. This guy, Ricky Jack, he came when he was 22 years old. By the age of 30, he had already facilitated over $1 billion of real estate in America. It's pretty incredible. Opening bank accounts, this is what you had to do in the old days. Meeting the partners. If you want to meet the partners in the old days, you had to get on a plane and fly over there and meet all the partners. This is how we used to do it in the old days, having a bit of fun on Beale Street, outside the New York Stock Exchange, up in North Dakota, looking at where they were doing industrial and fracking, having a bit of fun at, what's it called? I always forget, Halloween, in terms of that process. And for me, some of these guys, three of these guys are some of the wealthiest people in Southern Africa. They own the biggest privately owned shopping complex in Africa. And yet when they wanted to go to America, they didn't do it on their own. They know the top 1% doesn't do it like that. They partner. So they got on a plane, they came over with us, and they looked at investing. And so when I say, why do I believe that you should work with us? Well, most people have lots of excuses. Sounds too good to be true. I don't know how, it's too complicated. I don't have the time, ongoing management, it's too difficult. I don't need the right structures. But it always comes down to three main reasons. I don't have the money, I don't have the knowledge, and I don't have the time. And what I believe truly is that we have democratized access. For a very small investment in yourself, you now get access to what the top 1% have. The top information, the top partners, access to the top deals, and diversification. You don't need all the knowledge. You can partner with people that already have the knowledge. And you don't need time. We deal with people at the mastermind that are some of the wealthiest and successful people. And the point being is that, and by the way, they're not all wealthy, but generally are successful. And time is a very small commodity, a resource that is in, they don't have a lot of time. And so we've condensed it. In 3 hours a month, we help people get what they want. And I've had people come to me and say, but I don't have 3 hours a month. And then I turn to them and go, well, then don't bother. You will never, ever in your life get what you want if you do not invest 3 hours a month in achieving it. It's like telling me that you want to be fit and healthy, but you can't invest 3 hours a month in your health. It's not going to happen. So we've made it short and sweet to make it worthwhile. And the other reason we believe that you should work with us is we're the only people that I know internationally that are providing global diversification. You're not just stuck in gold or crypto or structured notes or medical buildings or America or property in London or South African residential. You've got access to global diversification. And I feel so strongly about this and investing in yourself. I mean, I spent $14,000 to be part of Singularity University and learn about exponential technology. I spent $25,000 to be part of Roger Hamilton's mastermind and to learn about entrepreneurship. I spent $40,000 to be part of Mavericks, which got me to go and spend 2 weeks on Necker Island with Richard Branson. And I spent $50,000 to be with Tony Robbins in Fiji. I know what it takes to invest in myself and to get results faster, safer, and simpler. And the question I have for you, are you going to do the same? So let's finish off with the fifth lesson, and it's about partnering for results. And in this one, the passive income trap is that I can do this by myself. You know, when you look at property, this is you and this is your offshore investment. And typically you're going between a financial advisor, financial institution, investment vehicle to get here. There's multiple layers, there's multiple fees, there's a lot of exposure. You're exposed to the secondary market, which is the stock market, and it's very close to equity. If you want to invest directly in a property, there are 16 different middlemen between you and your investment. There's high minimums. It costs a lot of money to invest in the likes of London or Manhattan. You've got international banking, tax and structuring. You've got long investment cycles, lots of hassles. And again, if you want to do it yourself, this is just all the stuff you need. Deal due diligence, tax and structuring, client support, banks, brokers, legal, KYC, automatic, sponsor, due diligence. Or you can follow 4 simple steps. Sign up, set up your account, browse and invest, and earn. If you want to do your own due diligence, there's a whole process. We've spent millions of dollars and worked with some of the best in the world, including our family office private equity team, to help find the right information, the right partners, and access to institutional deals. A good example of this is our Manhattan deal. You know, how many of you would get to invest in Manhattan where you're getting a 6 to 12% cash on cash return, a 14 to 23% target IRR, a 4 to 7 year hold? If you put $100,000 in, you'll aim to double it over the next 5 years. It's a 2x multiple, and it's roughly a 20% return. I mean, how many of you would get the opportunity to invest in this? Now, this deal is not even on the market. No one knows about it. Only family offices and institutional investors. And yet now you have access to it. And it's through a family office. You know, traditionally, family offices were only available for people who had $250 million or more. But Garth Wellman, who's their CEO and founder, and where we aligned, he said the 1% can pay for advice and get results. We need to support everyone to get access to the same advice and the same results. And so I want to finish with a little video for you. And this is Garth Wellman. Him and I did a video here where he explained what a family office is and why it is different from your financial planner. And the whole time you're watching this, it's 5 minutes long. The whole time you're watching this, just be thinking, imagine if I could partner with Garth and his team to be able to get these results.
The family office is typically a full financial management of a high net worth individual's affairs. Typically, a wealthy person would set up a family office to administer everything in-house. You would bring in, legal attorneys, private equity, and construct a full suite of investment services, from offshore structuring to offshore legal advice. So we set up a family office to be an outsourced full financial services provider outside of the scope of just investment management. And that's what we brought to the table. And we realized that We wouldn't do that for a single family. And that was where we said we became a multi-family office. Our services were well outside of the scope of what a financial planner would do.
Well, talk to us a little bit about that, because most people, including me, only really understand a financial planner or / an investment bank. You know, maybe you've been invited to the private banking of investment banking, etc. What is the difference?
Oh, look, a financial planner is one service of probably 15 or 20 that a family office does. You know, a financial planner effectively looks at a person's wealth preservation or their wealth creation. He goes, how do I create more wealth if a person hasn't yet got sufficient wealth? And he goes to the typical listed market space. And if he works for an institution, he goes to his employer's institution and offers their products as a solution to create wealth. The more sophisticated financial planner is the one that's working with the high net worth and saying, well, here's how we can preserve wealth. And that preservation of wealth then comes in the form again of the same financial products, sometimes slightly more sophisticated, a little bit more on the offshore side. He's not often involved in the actual legal structuring, and that is just outsourced by the bank to alternative companies. So very little of what a sophisticated financial planner does really goes into him being involved in the taxation, the immigration, the international tax planning, you know, international business, corporate advisory, resolving tax issues, staying current. So I think a financial advisor is largely connected to creating wealth and using listed investments, and protecting wealth using listed investments, which is just one very small part of what a family office really does and is capable of doing with in-house services.
If you're working with some of the wealthiest families, you know, around the world, why would you work with me? What's the reason for that?
Yeah, Scott, I've said it before. You know, you can build scalable businesses, and, you know, I'm both a financial person and an entrepreneur. But what I started picking up is I don't think good advice should be the domain of just the super wealthy. Okay. And one of the greatest problems the world faces is wealth disparity. You know, where 99% of the wealth is held in 1% of the world's population hands. And we know that's one of the biggest problems that has to change. But the same with advice. The wealthier are, the higher the quality of the advice, the more access you have to deals, the more access you have to create more wealth. So, you know, in our universe, we want to create opportunities for a much broader, much more scalable, suite of wealth and investors, for example. So I really want to see people that are hungry to learn. So for me, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, if we can teach the secrets of that 1% to 25, 30% more people, we create a much more sustainable world and a much more sustainable economy. So yeah, I think that's where you and I have worked really well together, is to create scalable but high-end information being accessible to other people rather than just the 1%. Yeah. And also, you know, with the 65 clients we have, 70 clients, I mean, it grows all the time, I haven't counted, families that we have, so much opportunity exists within that for us to, you know, to spread that opportunity and create a real symbiotic environment for wealth creation and transfer of knowledge. Wonderful, Scott. Thank you for that. And yeah, you know, it's been a great journey, and it's always so rewarding to hear compliments from your clients. And yeah, long may we continue to, you know, teach and grow people.
So, did you enjoy that? He's the founder and CEO of the family office. Sort of, I always say to people, imagine having him in your corner in terms of, you know, looking at what's going on in terms of your financial and your family planning and everything. And so, you know, I'm going to put up a final poll here. And this one is, you know, would you actually like to have an investment strategy call? And you've got a poll here. You can say yes or no in terms of that process, and let us know. So a good example of someone, there was a highly successful developer in Johannesburg called Alan Kynock. He wanted to invest in America. He knew he couldn't do it all on his own. So he got an airplane and he came over with us and, invested, and he partnered alongside and in a group of like-minded people, and he got a result, and he actually immigrated to America. And another successful person was this chartered accountant. He actually, funny enough, he's the auditor of the Auditor General of South Africa. And he joined our mastermind, and this is what he had to say.
And I'm a living example of that. In my little life journey from opening up my own auditing practice, the firm today audits the Auditor General of South Africa in terms of doing, pre-issuance reviews, etc.
So Abdul, let me ask a question to you in terms of it. So you've been very, very successful in property in your country, but you went and decided to sign up.
Scott, like I said to you at the beginning, I have this wealth. It's all localized. I have no exposure anywhere else on earth. Okay, so the catchy phrase from your side was going global, or diversified income going global. Now that appealed to me. In other words, yes, I may be rich in this country. What happens if I'm outside? There's all types of restrictions in terms of the transfer of my wealth, my assets, wherever I may be on earth. So that appealed to me, and that really opened an opportunity or a process for me in terms of engaging in diversifying my wealth. And I must say, although I have the brains to think that out, why must I do that? Yeah, you're giving it to us on a platter. So we follow that process, and yes, we engage, and yes, we will get exposed. We have obviously since did do an investment again in property. Property is the economics, I understand. One of the things you alerted us or reminded myself is that if you do things in teams, it becomes easier. Collective wisdom is better than your own limited and parochial type of ideas. So that's also something I quite enjoyed. But if you don't have that, maybe we'll never get to success.
Yeah.
Surely it won't happen next week, but as long as it happens, I think you're on the right road. And that's the path I've chosen to take. And thanks to you, Scott. And it's never too late. The only time when you're late is when you're late. You're dead.
Yeah.
Up until then, you have a purpose on this earth, perform it.
I love that. Such wise words. Abdul's such an awesome guy. And again, let me just, if it is something of interest to you, then you can literally go to Diversification Mastermind. If it's things that you want, wealth protection, plan B, peace of mind, diversification, freedom, global citizen, empowering your children, immigration, generational wealth, or to live life unlimited. We've helped over 4,000 other people do it. We know that we can help you. And it's interesting because Rachel just asked me a question here. He said, would it, can I use the same system for both business and personal wealth? And, obviously we start, and it's focused on the personal wealth side, but a lot of people who join us have their own businesses, and we find it makes a big difference because you're around like-minded people. And actually in the last month, I told you already, I was trained and went into business with Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes. And I actually gave my mastermind members access to all of that training as well, which is some of the best training that I've found in the world for businesses as well. So yeah, just interesting. So let's look to recap. What are the 5 traps that are stopping you from getting paid that we went through tonight? The first one is thinking short-term versus long-term. The truth is, wealth isn't built overnight. Many people chase quick wins or get discouraged when results aren't immediate. The wealthy think in decades, not days. They focus on building sustainable long-term income streams that grow over time. Passive income is a marathon, not a sprint. Trap number 6, chasing capital growth. Truth is, capital growth sounds sexy, but it's not always reliable or passive. Chasing appreciation alone can leave you vulnerable to market fluctuations. The wealthy prioritize cash flow first, then growth. Income-producing assets give you financial stability today and growth tomorrow. And I would recommend you take a picture of that. Can you see the little camera that's up there? I'm literally sharing the best knowledge that I can from the wealthiest people in the world that I've partnered with, and I've watched what they do. And my strong recommendation is that you're taking pictures to encapsulate and memorize what I am sharing with you tonight and today. Right, trap number 7. Uncertainty is a problem. The time is not right. Truth. Waiting for the perfect moment can cost you years in potential growth. Legendary investor Ray Dalio achieved 21% a year for 40 years, navigating every market high and low by following a proven strategy, investing in 15 uncorrelated high-quality assets. The key isn't timing the market. It's diversification and consistency. How good is that one? I mean, come on, do me a favor. Put it in the chat box. How good is that one there in terms of the advice that Ray Dalio is giving me? Come on, I want to see what you think. I mean, you don't even have to figure it out anymore. You just copy it. 21% a year. I mean, who here doesn't want 21% a year in US dollars? He's done it for 40 years. You don't even have to do it. You don't have to figure it out. You just have to copy it. Trap number 8. Trust us. We got you covered. The proverbial financial industry. Well, the truth is the financial industry thrives on complexity, fees, and blind trust. But the results often fall short and you're left carrying the risk. The wealthy don't just hand over control. They demand transparency, understand their investments, and stay actively informed. Blind trust is not a strategy. Empowered decisions are. And that's what I love so much. I mean, just think of Evan, the dentist, and what he said about being in control. And that's what our mastermind members, get. And then finally, there's another picture. Take it, ladies and gentlemen. You've got 5 and 6. Now this is 7 and 8. Sorry, it's late for me and I'm having fun. Trap number 9. I can do this myself. The truth is, going it alone is expensive, slow, and risky. The wealthy surround themselves with experts, mentors, and strategic partners. They leverage other people's time, knowledge, and networks to accelerate success. Why invent the wheel when you can model what already works? Again, take a picture. There are all 5. We have covered all 5 tonight. And I remember we started off where I said to you, the 5 important lessons. Trends, follow the smart money. Risk, understand true diversification and the importance of income. Diversification, the single most important component to financial success. Tax and structuring, protect and optimize your wealth. And team, partnering for results. I shared with you the formula. 5 diversify across countries, currencies, assets, partners, and time. And it's all about passive income. And then I said to you, you can choose to do it all on your own. I've told you what to do. You can go and do it. Or you can join a mastermind. And you can have access to a family office where we'll literally, between ourselves and the family office, we will hold your hand. We will walk with you. We will do it with you. We will guide you. And statistically, you will get there 5 times quicker, simpler, and safer, according to the facts that are out there. And again, I remind you what you will get. A strategic wealth plan. This is where you create a clearly defined step-by-step action plan for your wealth, lifestyle, and legacy to provide you with peace of mind that your wealth is protected. How many of you would love to have a strategic wealth plan? World-class investment access. This is where you get access to the right information that connect you with the right partners to help you achieve top returns safely and simply. And finally, smart investing, a system. This is where we work with you to set up a predictable system to get you investing like the top 1%. So, to finish off, if you want to apply, you literally go along to diversificationmastermind.com. Now, I know it's late, but I would like to see. There's a lot of people that are still here. How many, and for Veronica, what are traps 1 to 4? That's a whole other presentation, Veronica. You need to come along to our presentation, how to get paid. And if you want the recording, if people want the recording to how to get paid, just put in there how to get paid and we'll have to send you the recording. I will be doing another live presentation. I don't know when, but in the next couple of weeks. But that's where we go through the first 4 steps. I remind you that when you do how to get paid, that's the kind of the foundational stuff. And then what we've done tonight is more advanced. That's kind of steps, 5 to 9. Okay, so as a matter of interest, I can wrap up now, or these 9 steps are what we go through and what we looked at with the family office. Now, again, I modeled with the team and mapped and tracked their trends and their processes since 2012. So it's been, we launched the mastermind in 2022. So it was 10 years. And we said, right, what are the important things that they do for their clients? You heard Garth say they've got 65 to 70 clients. They manage about $1 billion. Each client needs at least $10 million plus to be part of them. Again, not if you're in the mastermind. If you're in the mastermind, we've democratized that access, which is truly exciting. But I can go to bed now, or if you want me to, I'm happy to go into a little bit of detail. I'll go through it quickly. I don't have time tonight, but I'll go through it quickly. Who would like me to teach you what each one of these 9 steps are? Just let me know. If you're not interested, I can call it. There's no point. I don't mind. I know what they are. Or would you like me to share with you the 9 steps? Okay, so Nisha said yes. Bhagwanda said yes. Dai said yes. Lynette said yes. Okay, for all of you said yes, I'm happy to share. For those of you that haven't, you can go to bed. Have a good night, well, wherever you are in the world in terms of that process. Sorry, I'm having fun. I love doing this. I'm very passionate that I get to live my purpose. Cool, so let's go through it. So you'll see here, if you look at the framework, that there are 3 phases. So you've got phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Phase 1 is the setup. So this is where they get a family in and they set them up for success. Phase 2 is it's all about the planning. And phase 3, it's all about the execution and the results. So let's go into it. So in phase 1, you've got establishing your vision, investment solutions, and the investor profile. So in establishing the vision, what we basically do, if you take that framework, is that whenever you're doing success, anything successful in life, whether it's yourself or your business, this is what you should do. What is your long-term goal? What do you want to achieve? So we use the lighthouse approach. Most people are caught up in problem and drama. We get very clear on your outcome. What are the top 3 things that you want to achieve? And what we do is I work with you one-to-one, and either one-to-one or in a group coaching, depending on what you choose. And we get very clear on what are your top 3 outcomes, what are your top 3 priorities, and what are your top 3 measures? And we write them down. There's so much clarity and power in simplicity and direction. And this is what one of the ladies said to me about the exercise I took her through earlier when we did it.
Hi, Scott. This is just a quick fan message. Just wanted to thank you again for our coaching call the other day. And then also wanted to thank you for the brilliant idea of that, sort of publicly putting in your goals in that Google Sheet. I see that the Google Sheet magically populated itself since the first time I saw it. And I must say the 2024 goals are very inspiring. And it's amazing to see. I found it incredibly supportive to see, people's just the amount of energy and the goals, and it's really inspiring. So just wanted to thank you for that. I really enjoyed reading everybody's goals. I haven't read all of them, but and somehow it's just really helpful. All right, well, have a fantastic day, and we'll see you in February. Bye.
So that's what step 1 is all about. Step 2 is the investment solutions. So this is where you get set up on a platform. We help you. You get access to Calio private equity team and their due diligence. You get a 50% discount on the fees and the private banking service. And what investment solutions is all about, helping people simply and safely get access to high quality opportunities all in one place without complexity. Step 3 is your investor profile. Now, there's a thing in the world called the Enneagram. It's the oldest profiling system in the world. It's been around for 5,000 years. And there's 9 different types. There's 27 different tri-types. And what we've done, and by the way, this is being trademarked by our family office, is that you literally get your own personalized report. So it's called the Enneagram and Wealth. So they've married together the Enneagram and Wealth. and you're not stuck in a box, but you get to know who you are, and you get an entire report. Who are you? Why do you make the decisions you make? What are the right type of investments and assets to invest in? It'll help you understand the mistakes that you made, but it also helps the family office and ourselves work with you to build a personalized plan, a personalized portfolio that's going to work best for you, both in a long-term sustainable way. And again, we've got so many people just saying how amazing this is and the big impact that it's had in their lives. So that's it. Now we move to phase 2, which is the planning. So now is where you sit with the family office and they do a portfolio health check. So imagine just like when you go see a doctor and they do a health check, they look, what is your tax and structuring? What do you currently have in place? What are all the assets? Maybe it's properties, maybe it's pension plan, maybe it's investments in the stock market or whatever it is that you've got. And they review it, and you'll be surprised how much overlap there often is, and fees on top of fees. And most of us have actually quite inefficient tax and structuring structures and bad investments or average investments at best. And what's interesting is someone looks at it holistically. No one ever looks at all your stuff holistically. And it's so nice to get it all in one place, looking at all your different asset classes, even if they're in different countries, different structures. And it makes such a big difference in terms of that process. Then it's about portfolio optimization. So now you've understood what you have, but now it's about optimizing it. And this is a very unique process where they marry together your individual circumstances, your Enneagram profile, and they build you a financial model. And it's called financial construction. And every one of you that joins the mastermind will actually get your own wealth plan. They call it an asset liability model, which is a fancy name for a wealth plan. But they basically put you personally in. Like, where are you? Where do you want to be? How are you going to get there? And how do you build it financially? What are the right investments? What are the right assets in terms of that plan? It's all about optimizing your current assets, protecting your wealth, making your money work as best for you, and helping you get results. And then what about wealth, lifestyle, and legacy? And this is where we worked originally with David Lipschitz. He only works with families that have that can pay him $250,000 or more. He works with wealthy billion-dollar families in India and America. But he came in and he trained our mastermind in the essential components of building and sustaining generational wealth, strategies to align wealth with life goals and family values, insights in managing financial, social, and experimental capital, techniques for effective family communication and decision-making wealth, practical advice on navigating family dynamics and intergenerational relationships, and steps to creating lasting legacy that benefits future generations. And for those of you that join the 12K Club, we've actually got a facilitator that comes in with your family. We call it Family 360. And she sits with your family, so you and your children and possibly even your grandchildren, and sits down and understands what is going on in the family, what is the money story. It's called the money story in terms of the family. And then each individual does a test. It's called a feed test. And then you come back, and in a facilitated process, they actually set you up with a roadmap. So now you take your individual plan, maybe it's you and your wife or your husband and wife or whatever, and now you've involved your children and you create a long-term sustainable plan around wealth and legacy and ultimately about generational wealth. And then phase 3 is all about results. And this is where I always joke with people, but how many of you have a plan but never actually work your plan? So, and the reason for that is that people want results, but everything happening below the iceberg is the values, the thinking, the assumptions, the bias, the judgments, etc. People are in a way state. 95% of people, they're withdrawn, fearful, inability to make good choices, demotivated, etc. And, the 5% of people want to be in a toward state. They want to be happy, ability to think clearly, creative, see new opportunities. And there's only 2 ways to do that. One is you get in a group of like-minded people. That's why we built the mastermind. Get in a group of like-minded people, a group of global citizens. And 2, you get very clear on your outcome. That's why we start. Literally, step number 1 is your outcome. But once you got your outcome and your lighthouse model, you now need to work on a monthly basis to make your outcome a reality. And so we've got an accountability tracker. Every month we check in with you. That's why I told you, no more than 3 hours a month. But every month we check in with you and we say, right, those were your top 3 outcomes. Those were your top 3 priorities. Those were your top 3 measures. What action did you say you would take this month to ensure that you're making progress to turning those into a reality? And anyone who's ever been successful, remember the example of the doctor that we spoke about an hour or so ago? If I said to you had to lose 10 to 15 kilos quickly because your life depended on it, and we all agreed that we would trust the fact that the coach would come along and hold our hand and hold us accountable. Well, it's exactly the same when it comes to your wealth. And that's what our accountability tracker is all about. And for those people that want to work one-to-one with me, I work with a more sophisticated program in the 12K Club, where I work one-to-one with people on a monthly basis. I use a platform, and every month we sit down and we go into more detail. What is it? What's your focus? What are you going to do? What are your priorities? What are your metrics for success? What was your score for the last month? What are we going to focus on next month? This is so powerful in terms of getting results. And as Angie said, thanks again for our session. I always leave feeling re-energized and motivated and feeling good about what I've accomplished. And your offer to make me a recommendation on how I can help to enhance the experience is highly appreciated. You rock. And then obviously it's about your daily activities. And, you'd be surprised how often I coach people on this. Remember, I'm an internationally qualified coach. But there's things like your habits. And there's a tool I learned from Tony Robbins about how to create habits and also time management. Whether you are super busy, you probably are super busy, but how do you set yourself up for success? And I mean, literally today, I had 2 sessions on this, helping people set themselves up for success. What's important in your life, and how do you make and prioritize it? Your wealth's important. Great. How do we make time to prioritize it so that you 5 years from now, 10 years from now, have exactly what you want in your life? And then the last one is that it's all about, the second last one, step 8, is it's about your community, your partners, and your knowledge transfer. So again, we've got a community platform, which is a learning platform. We've got the calendar and events, the accountability, the community engagement, and the interactive based learning. And what we do, and let me just show you here quickly, for our community platform, is that you can literally log in here. You can go and, see all the different discussions, in terms of the process. You can go to the classroom. And this is where we got the 9 steps. So you literally go through the 9 steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, in a very logical way. And each one of the steps just takes you through it, short video, and it helps you. But remember, we hold your hand. We're doing this with you one-to-one to help you achieve in terms of it. And then on top of that, once a month, we meet. Takes about 2 hours, 2 to 2.5 hours a month. So remember, the 1 hour accountability, the 2 to 2.5 hours. That's why we say about 3 hours a month. And this is where we meet with the family office. They come in, they tell us what's happening in the market. What do we need to know? With all this Trump tariffs, we had a fascinating session a couple of weeks ago. And our next session, funny enough, is next Wednesday. We have it on the middle Wednesday every month. Depending on where you are in the world, it'll depend on your time zone. But they come in and they literally teach us. Now, it's only 30 minutes. What do I need to know about the markets? What's important? How is this going to affect my portfolio construction? And then it's all about knowledge. Every month I bring in an expert to teach you one thing that is really important. So every month you're learning from a knowledge perspective and growth. We analyze deals for investments and we review and track the progress. And, people always say to me, in terms of this process, mind-blowing, very valuable. The perspective is very valuable, extremely enlightening, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's very liberating. And then the last part is investments and results. And this is where, through quality investments and partners, we enable our members to achieve results in globally diversified passive income and portfolio growth. And you put all 9 steps together, we call that Private Wealth Global, which is our collaboration between our family office and ourselves. And it's all about getting results safely and simply. So I remind you of the bonuses. If you join the mastermind, you get access to myself, priority access to myself and the team, access to our vetted tax and currency partners, Wealth Going Global, which is the right information, Asset Class Mastery, which is the right partners. You get the Clem Santa Masterclass. You get 12 months subscription to our online platform. You get access to the best immigration agents, access to the Wealth Weekends, and first access to the buyer's trips with a 20% discount. So if you're not convinced already, and if you're not, I don't know what else to do because I've literally lost my voice telling you about it. I love the mastermind. It's one of the things I'm most grateful for in my life is to be around so many other amazing like-minded people. And because of those like-minded people, I get access to the family office and to the family office deals, which is fantastic. But if you want the same, then just go along to diversification.com. And again, it's an application call. We only want to work with the best or people that are committed. So you don't have to have a lot of money necessarily, but you have to be committed. And so, book a call, come and join us. Let's have a discovery call. Let's an investor strategy call, as we call it. Let's understand what it is you're trying to achieve. Let's understand what's been blocking you. Let's understand where you want to go and if we can help you and if you qualify. And thank you very much, Kelly, for putting the link in the chat group. Kelly, that's the wrong link. But anyway, I'll tell people what the bonuses are just now. And I do remind people that there's only 5 people. So if one of our team members sit down with you and they understand what it is you're trying to do, and we offer you the opportunity to join the mastermind, I would strongly recommend that you jump at it because there are only 5 spots. And we don't offer people a spot if we don't think we can help them. Because I remind you, we put our money and our time where our mouth is. And it's of no value to us to have someone join the mastermind that we can't help. We got so many different pictures of how we traveled around the world. In the old days, helping people invest, Madison Square Gardens, outside the New York Stock Exchange, commercial buildings, houses, having some fun, meeting partners, a bull thing in Oklahoma, more commercial buildings, investment committee meetings. I mean, this guy alone, Paul Shalandra, we invested over $100 million with him in buildings, more medical buildings. This was in Hong Kong, actually investing in terms of that process. And I remind you all that, we actually guarantee results, which I know sounds far-fetched. And just to be clear, in the financial industry, we can't guarantee financial results. But what we can guarantee is that we'll work with you and we'll put our time and our money and our effort and our energy into helping you get results until you achieve at least, if you join the 6K club, at least 6K in passive income or portfolio growth. 12K club, it'll be 12K in passive income or portfolio growth. So that's how we guarantee results, as long as you follow the steps and actually implement in terms of it. And Kelly was very kind in sharing with you the bonuses. I promised you that we'd give you access to the white paper. So I remind you of the white paper. For those of you who are still here, I promised you that I'd give you this white paper. Can you believe that the last 2.5 hours, I've tried to share as much value as I possibly can, but I've summarized it for you in a white paper. Our team summarized it for you, and it's literally here in a 2-page white paper, which is the valuable nuggets. So if you go to that link that Kelly has shared, you will get access to that white paper. You'll get access to the Ray Dalio webinar, which is where I took and condensed Ray Dalio's work and put it into 90 minutes. And you'll also get access to my book, Property Going Global. And you just go to this link, diversificationmasterclass.com/bonuses. I'll click on this link for you just to show you. So here it is. It comes up here. You literally put your name in and everything, and it says, and you say, get the bonuses. And it literally takes you to a page where you can get the bonuses. You can get access to the webinar, and you get access to our book. Pretty cool, eh? You can't say that you've given us 2.5 hours of your life, but you can't say, hopefully, that we haven't given you lots of value in return. And so, in conclusion, I love this quote. It's a quote I heard recently. A good coach can change the game. A great coach can change your life. John Wooden. How many of you have a great coach in your corner? How many of you would like to work with me and our team, or work with, well, not all, and work with our family office? Garth, you met Garth, and actually literally hold your hand, partner with you, and go on this journey. I've tried my best all night to share with you everything. I would take a picture of this if I was you. I've tried my best to share literally what we've learned from some of the wealthiest people in the world, 178 countries, partnering with a family office. They manage over $1 billion. What's really, really important is that you got the opportunity through the mastermind to get access to that. All you got to do, if you're looking to get to a passive income of $6,000 or more, then you go to diversificationmastermind.com. And I remind you of what you're going to get. You're going to get access to the mastermind, which is all about results. You're going to get access to the 9 steps to generational wealth, the information. You're going to get access to the family office, partners. You're going to get accountability, mindset, and execution, the plan. You're going to get investment opportunities and investment deals. And the bonus is you're going to get access to the wealth weekends in either South Africa or Portugal and access to the buyers trips. So I want to run through some frequently asked questions quickly. I can see there's a bunch of questions that came in, and thank you to all the kind words that are coming into. Nisha would love to terrify the costs. Yeah, Nisha, I would recommend sitting down with the team and understanding what it is. And I do remind you, I'll tell you a little story, Nisha. It's interesting. So I invested $50,000 in myself to go see Tony Robbins, and my mother thought I was absolutely crazy. I mean, she literally thought I was mad. And I made that investment. I spent a week with him. I not only got the opportunity to run a business with him in Africa and take his business and partner with him in Africa, but it also gave me another idea for another business that I had. And within a year, it was a year later, 2011, I was in New Zealand. And while I was in New Zealand on holiday, one of my teammates made 11 sales, which meant that we made over $100,000 that came about through that new idea that I learned. And so what cost me $50,000 made me $100,000 back in a week. Albeit it was about a year later, but in a week, I got $100,000 back. And so I've learned a long time ago that when I truly invest and get access to the best information and the best partners, that's when the game truly changes. And it's a mindset thing. It's a mindset shift. But once you've been through it, once you've experienced working with the right information and the right partners and getting the results, then you'll understand that actually investing in yourself is the best investment you can make. And, you know, as Warren Buffett says, the single best investment you can make on this planet is in yourself. And that's just the way I look at it in terms of that process. And thank you for saying I'm better than Tony. I don't think so. I'm not sure if you've met Tony live. Anyway, let's take some of these questions quickly and then I'll wrap it up. I'm not sure if I qualify for this. I do have investments, but I'm not sophisticated. What do? Book a call. Literally, go to this link, diversificationmastermind.com. Have a chat. I don't know about you, but we like to be human. Have a one-to-one chat with one of our team members. They'll understand where you're at, what's been stopping you, what do you want to achieve, and we'll be able to have a conversation as to whether you qualify. And worst case scenario, if you don't qualify, they can point you in the right direction. We've got, I always say we're on an airplane, and the airplane's flying from wherever, New York to London and Sydney to London, wherever. And there's three classes. You've got economy class, you've got business class, and you've got first class. What we've spoken about all night is our first class offering, but there are other opportunities at business class and or economy class. I'm really busy with time poor. How much time will this require? 3 hours a month. So that's the investment you'll make in yourself. So, obviously you can do more, but it's a minimum of 3 hours a month. And again, I repeat myself, but if your wealth's important to you, you'll find 3 hours a month. Why should I invest in this mastermind and not just do the investment? Well, again, that's that whole philosophy. You can do it all on your own. I've given you all the tools. You can do it on your own. But the stats are out there that when you work with someone, when you partner with someone, when they hold you accountable, it makes a significant difference. So it's not either or, it's actually doing both. I'm not going to worry about that because if you're part of the mastermind, you get access to Wealth Going Global. You get access to asset class mastery. Is this South African focused? This one comes up all the time. No, it's not at all. We're a UK-based company. We've got UK regulation. I have a South African accent because I choose to live in South Africa. I lived in London. I set the business up in London many years ago. And we help people invest around the world. And we've got mastermind members in, I don't even know how many countries, 15, at least 15 different countries around the world. Okay, I've been through that question already. What is the relationship with the family office? So we're in partnership. The mastermind is a collaboration with the family office. Anyone that qualifies for the mastermind gets direct access to the family office. So that's pretty cool. Like we've democratized access to the family office, which is really, really awesome. I can't make the entire available time slots to see the team. What options do I have? If you're still in this situation and you haven't actually done it, then just type mastermind into the chat box. If you've missed the survey or the link, I don't really know how many other options to give people, but just type mastermind in if you've somehow missed all of those, and the team will reach out to you and find a time that's convenient. It does happen. There's people in different time zones around the world, and sometimes it doesn't work for them. and then we find a solution to make it work. And I need accountability. Will you help me? This is a funny one. I often joke when I die on my tombstone, it'll be results. Some people need the carrot, some people need the stick. We'll bring either or both. Because at the end of the day, you make a financial investment in yourself to get results, and we're there to help you, make it happen. And I think you can probably pick up from my energy, but I like to get results. I like to help people get results. And, whether it's the carrot or stick between myself and the team, we do what it takes to help people get results. Do you have a payment plan? Not regularly. We don't normally do it. We tend to find that when people pay up front and pay, they pay attention. But in certain circumstances, there's one guy who's joined us recently, and he's selling his farm in Zim. And so we, with those type of situations, we make a plan to accommodate the right people to get them on board. And if anyone else has any other questions, then let me know. I'll stay here and help you, but I'm going to leave you with a quick quote, which I love, and it's an African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And you can't see my hand here, but go together, hold each other, and go together. Thanks so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got any questions, let us know. And if you're still here, there's lots of you still here. I'm amazed after all that marathon of information. But let's play a little game. I love to always finish off with this little game. So I'm going to count 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1. And on 1, I want you to share one word which sums up your experience. And we're gonna like bomb the chat room. So on the count of 3, 2, 1, what is one word that sums up your experience from the last 3 hours? So tell me what you think. And if it was cuck and shit, whatever, tell me that as well. I don't care. I'm always trying to get better in life and figure out what I can do to add more value. So I always enjoy getting people's feedback. And if you've got constructive feedback on how we can add more value, or if it's too confusing or overwhelming or whatever, then give me the feedback. I love to get feedback on how we can add more value. And I've got a question for those that are willing to share. And if you'll give me direct feedback, I'd appreciate it. And I know it's a bit skewed because the people who are still here are going to give me different feedback from people who had left 2 hours ago. But myself and my team have a debate quite regularly. I can condense this whole thing down to an hour or maybe 90 minutes, but you're going to lose a lot of the substance, and you're certainly not going to have the videos and et cetera, et cetera. Do I keep it as a 3-hour masterclass and do it properly and not feel time pressure and be able to have fun and do it properly? Or do I cut stuff out? Is there stuff that is boring? Is there repetition? Would you like me to make it 90 minutes? What do you think? Is it overwhelming? Do you want me to dumb it down? What do you want? I'm interested. I mean, as I say, it's a skewed result because the people who are here are going to say that they you should do the whole thing, I assume. But yeah, I'm just interested in people's feedback because it's all about adding value. So Veronica says 2 hours. Okay. Bram says overwhelming. Okay. Well, anyone who's got any constructive feedback, I did share my my details here. Send me a WhatsApp, and don't send me an email. I won't read it. But no disrespect, I don't like emails. But send me a WhatsApp, and yeah, just tell me how we could add value in terms of it. And then lastly, if you want to go deeper and you want to do more, then the challenge, we've got a 5-day challenge where it's 2 hours a day, 2 to 2.5 hours a day for 5 days. And that's starting, the next one's starting on the 26th of May. So that's where we take everything up. Obviously tonight we've been through a lot, but now we go even deeper in terms of that process. Show us what's up again. Please don't spam me. There's my details in terms of that process. And Alan, yeah, thanks. I think the research says 90 minutes, max 2 hours. So, nope, I hear you. The question is what to cut out. I knew I was going to be a bit longer tonight. I spent 5 hours last night going through this in more detail and figuring out which parts to take out and put in, etc., etc. Anyway, I think that's enough for everyone. We are coming up to the 3-hour mark. I really appreciate everyone's feedback, and I'll go through it properly before I close out. But if there's no questions, you have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And Alan, just by the way, if you're still there, I owe you an email. I will write the email tomorrow morning. I've got some ideas in preparation for your meeting with the family office on Thursday, which I'll share with you tomorrow morning. I've got them all written down, but I haven't had a chance to write it out. But I will do that tomorrow morning, certainly tomorrow, so that you've got it in time to contemplate for Thursday, because I know you got your meeting on Thursday. Cool. Okay, everyone. You have a wonderful evening. Kelly, as always, thank you so much for your time and for sharing all the links and adding valuable to everyone. So really appreciate that. And yeah, there's a question here. Sorry, I did see questions in the Q&A. I signed up for the 30-day passive income challenge. How does it tie up with the diversification? It's exactly the same. So it's just another level. So the passive income challenge is economy class on the plane, and the mastermind is the first class. And similar 5-day challenge at the moment is free, and the VIP is $47. So, but yeah, we are looking to change that. I'm probably going to turn it into a $997 product. Okay. Good night, everyone. If you enjoyed it, please tell your friends. I'd appreciate it a lot. Good night.